And we are live. Hey, Mrs. Concrete.
What's good? What's going on with you?
Honey, uh, thank God it's Wednesday. I'm so looking forward to the weekend. Oh,
Oh,
wait. Cinco de Mayo's tomorrow. I'm looking forward to tomorrow too. Yeah.
oh, child, is it? Dang, I didn't even know.
You don't
Um,
celebrate Cinco de Mayo?
no,
Oh, you too black for that?
I celebrate Juneteenth. Stop playing with me. Um, you just trying to go out and have a cocktail and some tacos. I'm down for some
Facts. Yup. You should join.
Cinco de Mayo is tomorrow. Child, listen,
Listen, what?
I refuse.
I don't know why, girl. You to have a
Listen, no, no,
long.
no, no, no. I mean, there's never a bad time for tacos. I got to work tomorrow, child. Anyways, at both jobs. Just for a little while longer. But how's your week been? Why you rushing the weekend?
Girl, the gym is tearing me up, and so
Oh,
when I say sis is tired, child.
so the weekend, that's your time off.
No, girl, ain't no days off.
Oh, well then it don't matter.
It do matter a little bit because I won't have to work in conjunction too. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, okay, okay. I feel
Yeah.
you.
So
Girl, even Sunday? Oh Lord. That's a lot.
well, it's my goal is to be like a size 4 in
Oh,
like
girl.
two
So
weeks.
you want to look like a crackhead. Okay, yeah. Well,
No,
go.
not a crack child. No, what I gotta do, I
Listen,
gotta do something. So
no, I feel you. I feel you. At least in the beginning, you could always scale back later on down the line. Do your thing.
while I'm motivated for it anyway, you know.
Exactly. What else is going on in your world?
Nothing, honey. Just these cheering. It's so many of them, and
Well,
they're
you know how they go. You know
yeah.
how that go. I'm doing pretty good. Like I had to get back to work and stuff this week, which it's been a doozy. I'm really like I need a vacation from like my wedding because I
Listen,
literally it's so much going on, and you know how it is when you like have been missing a lot of work or out for several days, even though you're taking your paid time off, you come back to work and it's like everything halted. They waiting on you to get back so they can have you
listen.
do this and that. Child.
I need I took me and Curlin took our trip last week. I
Hmm.
needed just about half a day to at least catch up with my emails.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Whenever I come back from the taking, like especially if I've taken like significant time off, I put my computer, I put myself in do not disturb. Don't come bothering me because it's like they waiting for you to get back to be like, can you tell me this about this contract? What's going on with this? Can you do some training on this? Give me a day or two. Dang, back up.
Yes, yes,
So.
yes. I totally understand that
Mhm.
because, honey, they make it
Yeah,
extra real for us when we come back.
that
But
part.
that just tells me we important people.
That part, but
That's
I
it.
mean, listen, don't try to have me double up on work when I come back because then it's like, I what didn't essentially even though I'm taking PTO, if I come back and I have to do double the work, it's not really worth it for me. There should be somebody in my absence that you can go to with these issues instead of bombarding me when I come through the door. But
Girl, I got a suggestion, but you're not going to take it, but it'll help.
what's the suggestion?
Fuck they shit up.
You know what I've learned though? I'm gonna tell you something. What I have learned is to stop giving 110% because they expect it, and that's the norm for them. So, baby, like our program that I work on has exploded, almost doubled in size, and they had me doing the work of like three people. Baby, I can't.
Are
It's so
you?
it's so
Yup.
busy. Yeah, like
Mm-hmm.
I'm not doing it.
You'll
I'm
be training
overwhelmed.
everybody. You doing a supervisor job.
Listen, I'll be like, I'm overwhelmed, and I do like seriously, like y'all ain't paying me significantly more. Y'all ain't paying me three salaries, but you want me to bust my behind, and literally I'm salary. So I work until it's done. But girl,
Listen,
anyway, I can talk all day about that mess.
I'm gonna make you holler. When I
What?
had to train a supervisor for something, and I was
Hmm.
like, oh, I'm not telling them everything I know.
Girl, mm-mm. I'm trying to tell you. Listen,
I'm
and
not telling you
they
you're
gonna take
in
over
this
your position.
position, I'm in this position.
Right.
You should already know these
Figure it
things.
out. Figure it out. But I got a question for you. I got a question for you.
Uh-oh,
Got a question
child.
for you.
What?
So I saw this post floating around on social media where it stated that a man ghosted his fiance on their wedding day because she had a bachelorette party and a video was sent to him from her sister of one of the male strippers who was dripping chocolate from his private into the fiance's mouth. What's your thoughts? Was he wrong? Should he? I mean, be understanding. It's your last hurrah. What's your thoughts on it?
Do you know what you just said?
I do.
He was dripping chocolate
Mm-hmm.
from his private parts,
Yeah.
and she was sitting there catching it like a baby bird.
But listen, it's the bachelorette party, though.
What
Like,
does
come
that
on.
mean? Bachelorette party. So, I mean, you could have like I think we need to redefine that as a society. Because like if your man went to a bachelorette party and sucked on some titties, would you still have gotten married?
Um,
See?
To be completely honest, okay, so to be honest, I think women expect that, like, not that their man is going to have
What?
sex with somebody else, no, but know that the bachelor party can get a little wild. So what that may mean different things to different people. I'm gonna tell you something. Like, my husband is a piece of work. He'll be like, I ain't sucking on them musty titties. Like, he is very funny acting, so fickle, girl. Like, I'll be like, God dang, you do not got to act like that. He be looking at his nose on people, and he just not going. My fiance. Now, let me say this. I say all that, but in all honesty, if I were with my ex, yeah, he probably would have. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody came back and was like, he was sucking on musty stripper titties. I would be shocked. So for me, I don't know that I would call off the wedding for it, but there are certain acts that would be off limits. And if I found out he was doing with a stripper the night before we said our vows, it's over.
I mean, that is ridiculous. And there's a certain thing is like pushing a boundary, but chocolate from a private part? Are you
Yeah.
nuts?
Yeah, that was she went a little far with that. But you know, the crazy thing is, all the women, I saw this first posted in a black woman group, and the women was like, "Oh, the sister sleeping with him. Why was she like?" Nobody said that she did anything wrong. They like, oh, she should be glad she dodged the bullet. He effing her sister. Like, everybody was like, the sister.
They were more focused on the sister than they were on the actual act.
Yes.
And how many times have we seen that?
Over and over again. And the crazy part is, the sister, like, it came out, more information was good about the story, and she ended up kicking the sister out of her bridal party. So the sister was on some get back stuff, which is super petty, but nonetheless, you doing this in front of a crowd of people, like, I'm not surprised that somebody sent it to him. Child, you try.
I mean, do you expect a room of about 20 to 30 ladies to actually hold a secret?
Exactly.
Especially with you doing something like that.
I agree. But did he have to go as far as like standing her up at the altar?
Yes. Yes. Salute that brother. That brother has some standards for himself. Yes.
Oh, okay.
You know what? Better he stand her up than to jump on that hoe. That was ridiculous.
Yeah.
No. And then, like I said, ladylike culture. I'm want to talk, right? But ladylike culture is becoming like a thing of the past. Everybody wants to be the wild chick, the chick that does any and everything with no repercussions.
Yep.
And that's not how this shit works. No.
You about
What
to be
are you
somebody's
doing?
wife, and you letting somebody dangle their little nasty penis over your face. Child, no.
Like, what?
Yeah, no.
I saw that, so I was like, wow.
That's disgusting.
And you did it with a straight face? Like,
baby, like I'm gonna tell you
wow.
something though. We do know as women, like everybody, it's a well-known fact that bachelor parties get raunchy, but we know bachelorette parties, baby, they be. I mean, I've been to bachelorette parties, family members of mine, and I am telling you, it goes down at the bachelorette parties. Not
Listen.
necessarily always the bride, but it's dang near people. It's dang near an orgy. Like it be so much heavy petting and penis being touched and played with,
Right.
and like
At the back,
yeah,
listen.
baby,
And they
it
gonna
goes
make sure
down.
you touch it.
Listen, I ain't even have one. Wasn't interested. I'm like, I ain't even
You
talking.
know what? Every time I think of like guys being strippers or like the
Mm-hmm.
IG models or dare I say it, porn stars,
Mm-hmm.
it just gives me a thought process because I'm like, damn, you actually out here selling ass. Like you out
You know
here.
what? Yeah, I've never been attracted to strippers though. Like,
I couldn't I
yeah.
wouldn't like if one of my friends had like a that type of bachelorette party for me,
Mhm.
I would have been pissed. Like,
You would you
ew.
if they tried to surprise you, like
W-
surprise,
With
and he
Mr.
come out
Big, like,
with
no
his
ma'am.
in his police officer uniform, muscles everywhere. You would have felt some type of way.
Not even my type. I don't look at that and think like, wow. I look at that
Ooh.
and think of like, ew, he a thought. Look at him selling his ass. Shake that ass
Listen.
for this dollar.
Oh,
Like,
I'm gonna tell you something, and I'm like my friends. Like I've said this, and I love my friends, and they listen to the show, so ain't no telling they might be listening right now. I love my friends, but they're extremely extroverted, and my friends they would be mad at me because they be like, "Oh my gosh, you such a prude!" Like I get caught like even during my the reception and us getting ready, and like they were making certain comments about consummating the marriage and things of that nature, which I did not like. But they like, oh my gosh, you such a like. They're always calling me a prude. They would have been mad that they spent money, got a stripper, but it's kind of like read the room. You know that that's not my forte, so why would you waste your money?
I wouldn't even be considered a prude. But my friends don't consider me prudish,
Mm-hmm.
but still, like, ew, no,
Yeah,
no,
yes,
no, thank
it's
you.
a no.
That's not.
It's a no
I
for
don't
me.
find anything attractive about that.
Yeah,
He
it's a
running
no.
around shaking his ass and twerking and
Listen, they be
shit.
having them thongs all up in there. That's just
And
not.
then,
That's
when you think about it, like,
mm-hmm.
so, and not saying that this is everybody, but I'm like, if when you hear about men actually getting paid more to perform for men, and then you hear about them performing for men,
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like, so no, 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 thank you. I don't want no
Yeah,
parts
I
of it.
feel you. I just found that to be interesting, especially the response of the women. And I don't know why it was interesting. I should have expected it, but
You know
yeah.
how them comments be, child. We be on the total opposite end of,
Ugh,
honey.
yeah, we got to do better. We got to do better.
We gotta be more
But
sisterhood.
listen, I'm praying for us because, baby, every day I see examples of why black men make the comments they make about us. We need to do
Listen,
better.
I'm glad you brought that up because I
Mhm.
definitely want to talk about the passport bros. Y'all
Oh,
have went viral.
oh,
There was a guy who made a post and had some women from wherever they were from. She was riding a pole, just doing something on the pole, right? And he said all you needed was $30 and a bag of rice. And when
oh,
I
yeah.
say
You sent
black
me that. Okay,
women
okay.
lost their shit,
Oh,
all
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
sexual
Mm,
tourism. How she telling somebody they need to somebody responded. The girl said, well, if y'all lose weight and treated your men right, um, y'all wouldn't have to be worried about it. Like, stop hating.
mm-hmm.
Girl, black women was like, "Bitch, you don't tell me nothing about black
Mm.
men. Y'all over there is just selling it."
Oh,
They talked about sexual tourism from black
mm-hmm.
men. They talked about the women in those other countries being subjugated. And I was sitting there listening to all of that. and we've had plenty of conversations
Mm-hmm.
about SYSBM
Oh
passport
yeah. Oh
bros,
yeah. Even recently.
whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But they really don't think that it's men going over there to actually look for wives, or really looking to be paired up more so
Mm-hmm.
than sexual tourism. But I noticed that they don't take any accountability for when black women are going to wherever they go and doing what they do, and we know that that happens also. I just thought it was interesting.
I definitely think that it's interesting. I do see a lot of women downplaying the reasoning, but also at the same time, there's not data to support the fact that there's a
Facts.
large number of men going over there and marrying women either.
But then they were there's not data to support that. Then it was said that they're going over there and creating single mothers and leaving the women knocked up and
Mhm.
everything. And I'm like, how would you
Right.
know there's no paternity test?
Yeah, yeah, right. That's an assertion. Like,
Yeah, and these women, a lot of these women were already single mothers, especially if you're talking about countries like Colombia or Dominican Republic. A
mm-hmm.
lot of those women were already single mothers before
Yeah,
these men got here.
for sure.
But they wanted to make those women out to be victims. You know, like women don't make a choice to, a lot of those women do make choices to do that.
Oh yeah.
But there was nothing said for the women that wanted to do that, but everybody was a victim. Now, I get everything with the young girls and especially that aspect. I totally understand that. And I can ride for that cause. But if she is 18 and up, she definitely has choices, and men go and
Yeah.
do what they do.
To be completely honest, a lot of those women, that's how they feed their families. Like
Yeah.
I've watched so many videos, and I think our initial stream that we did about the topic, I was watching videos, and it was kind of like a lot of them referenced Blame It on Rio, and it was even discussing how a lot of the women are partnered or married, and that is how they are supporting their
Yeah.
families. So
Yeah.
they're making a conscious choice. Like literally, some of these countries, some of these smaller third world countries, sex tourism is what's keeping the countries afloat. Because as a result of it, there are people coming and engaging in tourism and engaging in activities that would keep small businesses afloat. Paying to stay in hotels and yada yada yada. So it's big money for the entire country.
Yeah, and then they act like the men in those countries aren't in on it.
Hmm.
And it was just interesting
Yeah.
because it's a lot of men of all ethnicity and races that go and do those things. Like,
Yeah, and
come
it's
on.
kind of being touted as almost as if like this is something that's happening against these women will, or that the men are just simply taking advantage. If black men never go to another third world country and engage in any kind of consensual activity with another woman, it's not going to stop. Like that this is
That part.
this has been this has existed before black men even started pushing the notion that black men should travel abroad and that their options are plentiful abroad. Like black men are, I don't even believe that it's black men solely keeping these economies afloat. Like white men been doing this forever,
Facts.
forever.
Facts.
Yeah.
Facts. Facts. Shout out to MGTOW Universe. He says, I was actually going to do a live stream on that very video after y'all stream.
Uh,
Damn, you should have asked for the collab. What's up? Shoot.
which one? He's talking about the one that we interviewed with him.
Uh, um,
Which one?
the one with sexual tourism and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And shout out to MGTOW Universe again. He says it's black women protecting their market of the bottom 80% of black men.
Mm.
They're just too proud to admit it.
Wait a minute. He said it's black women protecting their market of the bottom 80% of black men. They're just too proud to admit it. Okay. Very, very interesting when you talk about that bottom 80%. Because I don't think I mean, I think we like to relegate the conversation, just like we were pointing out how Black women want to relegate the conversation to men going over and taking advantage of these women. I think that
Right.
on the other side, the conversation is often relegated to the bottom percentile of Black men, on the flip side.
Yep. And shout out to MGTOW Universe again. He says they don't give a about actual SA victims in those countries.
Mm,
That's their hook to shame men to go SYSBM. You know what? That's the thing. I was
mhm.
like, every man going over to even perform sexual tourism isn't going over to whatever places they're going to specifically to do that.
Right.
And I think we need to stop that. This is the thing
Yeah.
that it's like trying to make the men out to be monsters
Mhm.
at every turn when it's got to be some accountability on both sides. If the men are monsters, the women are just just as even and equal, in my opinion. Y'all want to be equal in every fucking thing
Mm,
else,
mm.
be equal in accountability that women are just as much as messed up as the men that they talk about.
The thing is, if men just want to buy some tail, they can do it here. You don't have to pay for a ticket,
Support your
leave.
local economy.
Baby, listen, that's why you know that it's not just about that. I actually do believe that the men feel like they find more suitable options over in these other countries. And of course, women are going to make the argument that that's because they have simply adopted a white patriarchal mindset and they want women that they can subjugate and yada, yada, yada. That's another discussion for another day. However, if men were just going to engage in sex tourism, they don't have to leave the country, baby. It's plentiful right here. They could pay for it right here. People are
Facts.
advertising in their IG. Literally go to any, go to strip clubs, go to, there are websites where women are advertising on, and, so men don't have to leave the country just to get some tail.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Mm-hmm.
But there was something else I wanted to bring
Mm-hmm.
up. And shout out to Gaston for sending this to me. He says that Kevin Samuels got ugly men feeling like a prize, and that's why y'all like him.
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
How many times have we been covered this?
But you know what? The way that he putting it in those terms. First off, do you think do you find his comment to be true? Do you find that Kevin has ugly men feeling like the prize, and that's what's resulting in the problems that we're seeing?
This is the thing. It's not a factor of a man being ugly, and I keep saying, I'll say it once, I'll say it again. We as black women put too much emphasis and focus on a man's sexual market value, way too much. If a man is working, he's able to provide, he's got a good heart, he has a good character, he pays his taxes, he's not leeching off of a woman, he respects his family, he respects you as a person, then I do think that those things should be put above, way above that. To me, the problem with Kevin's platform, and it's just my opinion, you do have I'm not gonna say that majority of his followers are incels, but a lot of their rhetoric represents that entire group. Just like the ratchets represent certain aspects of black women, or a lot of aspects of black women, I feel like a lot of the things that these guys are saying, and they may not have the looks, they may be socially awkward, they may be the person that you looked over. A lot of them are saying they still have the same stuff to say that other black men that are normal, quote unquote, have to say about black women.
Mm-hmm.
But we will definitely downplay anything that a guy that we're not attracted to is saying. Like, if you're
Yeah,
ugly and you're
I
saying
agree.
that there are problems with black women,
Mm-hmm.
your ugly ass can't tell me nothing. You can't even get me. You couldn't do nothing. You can't tell
Listen,
me nothing about black. You ugly.
I
No.
agree with that, but at the same time, like, I don't like this notion that, like, black women want somebody that they're attracted to too. That's not even a black woman thing. Most women are, like, in large numbers, go after the attractive, quote unquote, select men. most women want somebody that they are attracted to. Is that the smartest thing? Is it smart to put attraction above somebody who's going to give you financial security and somebody who is hard work? No, absolutely not. But Black women in general also want to be physically attracted to their partner. They want to have that physical connection with their partner too. So I don't think that there's anything wrong with, wanting somebody that you're attracted to, but I do think that being the top priority over all other things, or the sole thing that you focus on, is absolutely problematic. As it relates to the question regarding, the Gaston sent, I think that there's some truth in it. I think that unattractive men have essentially utilizing Kevin Samuels' talking points to denigrate and beat down Black women and say y'all ain't ish, and oftentimes, and for many of them, it's kind of like payback. Like it's like they hear somebody going in on Black women and pointing out their flaws, the same group of women that have rejected me time and time again. I'm jumping on the bandwagon and being a part of this movement.
Yeah. And these are still the same rejected men. You know what I'm saying? So, and I was thinking about like with the sexual tourism and stuff like that, it kind of made me laugh because I was like, a lot of the guys, I'm sorry to say, a lot of them go because they can't get the attractive woman over here. They go because they want to get attractive women, and those attractive women, the attractive women over here, are winning. They know they have options.
That's a good point.
And they're not just checking for, they don't care if you have money. Like, and I dated 4 basketball players and they was different sides of the NBA. What you talking about? You know what I'm saying? So a lot of those guys were rejected, by a lot of Black women. So I do think it's the big payback.
That's a good point. And I know a lot of men will say, oh, well, we can go, like other groups of women find, the men that are rejected by Black women can go and have success amongst these other groups.
Be kings amongst other groups. Now,
I don't deny that, but I do think that it's a bit different. Black men are freaking gods. They are the most beautiful thing in the entire world. Like, they're a species to behold. Like, come on. Of course, and because they are, as Black women, typically we've had our pick of Black men. We are not just relegated to the few Black men in our circle because we're Black women. We are in community with them. We've had our pick. So for Black men who travel outside of their community, they're, one of very few Black men. You are a god, and you may be a god within the Black community too, but like Black women may be like, but this god this god is a 10. Well, within the Black community on the rating scale, you may only qualify as a 5, but outside of the Black community, you may still qualify as a 10 because there are fewer of you available, and, they're going to, still be able to appreciate the beauty that you are because they don't have the same level of access that Black women have to Black men.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to Big J Triple X. He says Kevin Samuels made it okay for Black men to be entitled.
A-holes.
Okay. Child, I was I was like, at-hole. Listen. Me and my education. Shout out to MGTOW Universe again. He says Kevin Samuels is unintentionally the biggest advertiser of SYSBM. Every single show is a showing of women embarrassing themselves. K's doing God's work.
Wow.
You know what? See, this is what I'm going to start. I am going to start the opposite of the Kevin Samuels show. I am going to have men come up and I'm going to be like, what's your salary and height and shoe size?
Listen,
and then I am going to break them down. Listen, I'm going to be like, you average, you broke, you dumb. No, it sounds like Harpo from, not Harpo, from Mr. from the Color Purple. You broke, you ugly.
Yeah, that would be funny.
I think we should start that. I
We
think
may need a segment. We
I'm
may need a
just saying,
segment.
like,
Mhm.
listen, he's made great success.
Yeah. You
We
know
should do
what?
that.
Yeah, that actually would be pretty funny.
Yeah,
Uh,
let him know.
Goodness rated Bo, I absolutely disagree with you. All men are not gods. All men are not beautiful. And there's no group of men on this planet, probably in the entire universe, that compares to black men. They just don't. I mean, come on. Like, God took his time with black men, baby. And I don't apologize for that. There's nothing that compares to black men. And to be
Praise
completely
God.
honest, I'm going to tell you something. As it relates to black women dating out, typically black women that are dating out are doing so because they have had failed luck within dating black men, and they're looking for security. They're not dating out because they think white men are fine. They're not dating out because white men are these godly kings that no other group compares to as it relates to their physical appearance. Like, that's not the reason why. Oftentimes it's because they're looking for that security that they don't feel they could get from a black man. And then also they've had failed relationships with black men, and they feel like the grass is greener on the other side.
Yeah, I would listen. Shout out to Warren. He says, "Congratulations on dying alone." I would be telling him, "You gonna die alone? Buy a dog, die alone." Girl, shout out to MGTOW Universe again. He says, "Yeah, and those men will just lie, just like those average at best women on KS's show."
He said it ain't gonna work, Danny. We ain't gonna be
I
able.
listen. And somebody said G is already doing that. Kendra's not mean enough. All you got to do is be a little bit meaner.
Well,
And
you're gonna have to take the reins on that.
why I got to take the reins on it? You could
Because
assist.
I can't be mean enough. That's why. You know what? Listen,
Did you get you a little joint before?
I'm not about to play with you. You know I don't have it unless we talking about black issues. Just talking
I'm
about.
gonna say all I'm gonna have to tell you is that he dates white women on a regular.
Oh yeah, okay. Then okay.
I got you.
I show up and show out. Oh, Big J, I'm not capping. You can't tell me. I'm a woman. You can't tell. You're a man. Do you look at other men and judge their physical appearance and how they compare to other men? No, but I do, and I know what black men have, and I know what black men embody. It's unfortunate that y'all don't realize it.
Black men is great. He likes some black men.
Goodness rated Bo, yeah, 2 of them. Yeah, you got 2 all together. Go ahead, but as a whole, they don't compare. Which and they know that. To be completely honest, they're threatened by the physical appearance of black men. Why do you think they have a history of denigrating black men? They have to make them seem like the worst people on the planet. They have to go out of their way and create a system to keep black men down because they know black men are superior. But anyway, there was something that I was going to mention and I can't even recall because we've got so far off the topic.
Oh, wait a minute. So y'all good with Roe v. Wade possibly being overturned?
Who is y'all? Oh, you asking the brothers?
Yeah, y'all good with that?
The funny thing about that is, well, not the funny thing, but the interesting thing. Thing about that is that I thought black women would be up in arms, but I see black women saying this ain't our fight. This on Karen them. Black women are saying this ain't got nothing to do with us. We need to stay out of it because they understand that this is about population control. And I'm just surprised that black women aren't like, we're fighting for,
right.
Because,
I thought that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's really interesting. But I had thought about it. I was like, thank God I'm not there.
What are your thoughts though?
None really.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things. I don't believe in abortion, period. But I don't believe in it. So it's not a thing that affected me to where I was like, oh my God. Mm-hmm. But, I could see why it would be, a thing. So yeah, that's where I'm at with it. But the first thing I thought about was population control. That was the first thing I thought
Yeah.
about. I was like, it's for population control.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I knew that when it was when they were discussing overturning it a couple 2 years ago. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm against abortions as well. I'm pro-life. However, like I'm not a black and white person. I do understand that there are some extenuating circumstances,
Right.
whereas if a woman was taken advantage of or something like that, I
But
don't. It's just
that's
not black
not
and
the
white.
yeah, that's definitely not the
Right.
case in most women that choose to
Oh
have
yeah.
them.
Oh yeah.
It is
But
definitely used as a form of birth control,
but will
but
that result in more unwanted babies being born and being mistreated and possibly abused? And because that's the argument that people are making.
um I
But the
had
thing
thought
is, they can
about
still take the
that.
baby to a fire house.
Child. I thought about that, but I'm like, you can't complain about the single mother rate and the abortion rate at the same time. Doesn't
Mm-hmm.
work. Um, ev- Everybody got to put their paws up, put it back in the pants. Don't do it. Just don't
Yeah.
have sex. Leave them alone.
Ah, listen, we are hypersexual beings. We meaning black people. They ain't gonna do that. And I think a lot of women have used abortion as a form of birth control, and they've misused it. And I agree. The overwhelming majority of women aren't women who were taken advantage of, and that resulted in a pregnancy.
Right.
Um, yeah, I think that this is going to be interesting. I pray that the outcome is not more unwanted babies that are being abused and stuff, because the thought alone just sickens me. People should take accountability, and you should be responsible with your womb, and make sure that you're protecting yourself.
Yep. Shout out to MGTOW Universe. He says, shout out to Dennis Sperling for telling a black woman to get out of the white women's fight. I saw a light bulb go off when he told her that. We did a show one day,
Mm-hmm.
but I had seen Jason Black do a show about black women allowing white women in their business and talking about our different plights. We definitely don't have the same plights. We don't.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a woman who, I think she was supporting her husband, and he was like a stay-at-home husband or some shit.
Mm-hmm.
But she was telling black women like to kick their man out of the house if the man wasn't doing this, that, and the third. But she kept her husband. And he caught her up in all kinds of twists and turns, and Karen was tired. She was tired
Yeah.
after that. I know she was, but
The thing
yeah,
is,
we don't have different plight. We have different plights. We have
I
different
agree with
plights.
that. And like I said, most of the women I've come across seem to understand that. I've seen a few that are, jumping on the bandwagon, but most of the women that I've come across are like, this on y'all. Y'all voted for Trump at a rate of 55%. And as a result, he was able to get all those conservative judges in. And yeah, this is the outcome. Y'all, have not. You guys weren't concerned about Roe v. Wade being overturned. You guys weren't concerned about partnering with black women and fighting for our plight. And now that you feel like your rights are potentially at risk of being removed, you want us to band together, and you're talking all this intersectionality talk, and you want it to be us against the man. And the other thing that I found very interesting is that most people that are talking about this, they're saying how men are trying to tell women, no, 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 you need to qualify that. White men, they're the ones who
Facts.
are like, but they never qualify it when black men have nothing to do with it. But when
Not a
it's a black
thing.
man issue, they're quick to say black men. They don't just
Yeah.
use the blanketed term of men. So I find that to be interesting too.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Are we ready to
Let's
get
get off
off
into
into
what
this?
y'all listen.
Whew.
We got to talk about it. We are about to talk about how Black women empowerment, the movement, BWE, how that impacts the image of Black women. It's been a lot going on with BWE, especially in this space, or especially on YouTube. And I think everyone has seen the drama unfolding. In addition to just talking about it from a general perspective, we are going to examine whether or not BWE and all that it comes with has an impact on the Black woman's image.
BWE, don't y'all come for us. Don't y'all come for us. We're going to examine this from an objective perspective. If Concrete and I mammy it up any way, shape, form, or fashion, y'all can't wait to point it out. I'm going to tell y'all where y'all messing up at too. Because we've seen some discrepancies and some bullshit in y'all's movement as well. And so, we feel like one good deed deserves another. So
absolutely,
we're here to help.
Everything we do is scrutinized and reviewed, and we are going to review this actual issue, and we're well within our rights. And I mean, it is what it is. Whatever blowback comes from it, but like, we grown. Ain't nobody skirting around it, and I think that we do a pretty good job of being fairly objective. We'll probably be one of the more objective parties to review the issue. So yeah, let's get into it.
So, is BWE like a Black woman version of MGTOW? Well, I would say to a lot of degrees, yes, because it is about Black women empowering each other. It is about Black women making the best decisions for themselves. It is about them supporting each other. It's about them dating out. It's about them being business owners, entrepreneurs, making money. BWE does represent a lot.
It is. It's about you. It's in essence, yeah. There are lots of offshoots that actually fall under the BWE umbrella. When we say offshoots, maybe like divestors, because they're essentially empowering Black women to do what's best for them. So that's essentially what BWE is. Now, we see BWE, or Black women, being empowered in the whole of society and in mainstream media and society as well. And some of the things that we see that are that take place in this space would not be coupled with like mainstream Black women empowerment. But I would say it's akin to MGTOW. Yes.
Yep. Shout out to B. Oh Lord. BWE equals denigrating Black men, not much true empowerment. Ooh, sort of like SYSB.
Oh, wow. That's an interesting.
You mean like the passport,
point,
bro?
Listen, but B.
You mean like the manosphere?
Listen, that's a good point. If you say that's a good, Danny, I'm glad you said that, because Black women, I think BWE, you do see a lot of Black women denigrating Black men, and oftentimes they are operating under the guise of empowering Black women, but a lot of the conversations will focus on Black men. Not all of them, depending upon where you travel within the sphere. But Danny had a good point with the fact that, we see that on the other side.
To be honest, BWE and MGTOW are two cheeks on the same ass. Get over it. So, keep in mind, we're getting ready to go there.
Yeah.
I want y'all to grab your balls. I want you to hold on to them real tight.
That sounds like a threat. That sounds like a threat.
No, it ain't a threat. It's a promise. I don't do idle threats.
Okay.
Promises. And I'm gonna keep it. But it's two cheeks of the same ass. We've done shows to show where you guys are in the same boat. You both think very low of each other. We don't have the best impression of each other at all. The majority of them think Black men ain't shit. The majority of you think Black women aren't shit. If not all. And they both say don't say not all of them. All of them ain't shit.
Yeah.
All of you can say that you've seen good examples of black women in your family circles, your friend circles. They say that they've seen good men in their family circles and their friend circles or whatever.
But
But they
still
will still
speaking
go
very
back to,
general.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing on both sides. They have the literal exact same talking points that
Mm-hmm.
y'all have, and it's just put some titties on it. Let's go.
So in that case, then if the black manosphere, the space, the E space is being labeled as a hate group, one might make the same types of arguments about black women empowerment.
Do you remember what I told you about the language and stuff? And you know, when they was talking about the FBI, you remember the week that the FBI was in the manosphere?
Mm-hmm.
And I was saying that those other types of movements and subsections.
I remember the discussion because I
Yep.
disagreed that they're at risk because they're doing they are doing the white man's bidding. They're essentially doing what white supremacy would like. But I do remember that discussion. But the interesting thing is that I think that essentially, you know, you have both movements are doing, they're fighting to prove that black women are not at the bottom or black men are not at the bottom. Like they're fighting to prove that the group that they belong to, like literally we rowing in the same boat, but and they don't understand that like we're in a canoe and they're throwing water into the boat in order to drown the other side, not understanding that you're drowning right along with them, which I find to be very interesting.
That is absolutely true. Shout out to Eugene Steele. He says, "It's my body. I can do what I want with it. Yet women seem to have trouble telling men no. They seem to have trouble knowing when and who to let enter their bodies." Ooh, that's deep.
Okay.
Thank you for that. Shout out to MGTOW Universe again. He says, "I can appreciate a black woman's spear. I bet you none of those channels would get purged like we did, though. Sips tea." Probably not. Shout out to B again. He says BWE equals firing two black women from Tough Talk.
Oh, that's black woman empowerment.
You damn right. I'm empowered like shit.
Oh,
I'm the boss. No, I'm kidding.
oh
Messy as hell, B. Shout out to Dane C. He says there's two kinds of BWE, Black Girls Rock, etc. And then this online nonsense of Paris Milan, Divestors, Cynthia G, Misandry, every 5 hours, black women luxury-ish. You know what? This is the thing though. When these movements are going well, you won't sit here in front and say that they've always not gotten along. But you have the same thing that's happened over here in the manosphere. How many of your top content creators have been fighting since they've been fighting since we've been here for sure.
Beef. And I mean, waddling in the mud together. It gets real ugly. So we've definitely, there's some similarities that cannot be denied. But I do think though, I think that they're like, so I think that one could make the argument that there's two kinds of black BWE. They could say there are the women who are pushing this notion of black men being awful and steer clear of them. The grass is greener on the other side. Get you a Chad or Brad, yada, yada, yada. And this black women saying, just uplifting black women, so to speak, by having these different movements and encouraging black women to live a soft life, that saying that black women also deserve luxury. I see nothing wrong with that. I am not opposed to black women being empowered. I think that black women should be empowered. I think that black men should be empowered. I think that the black family should be empowered. We should all be freaking empowered. I'm not against that at all whatsoever. But I do think that it's fair to beg the question of whether or not the black women empowerment movement and those who consider themselves a part of the movement, when there is drama within that and the drama spills over and it's ongoing online for multiple days, if that impacts the image of black women, that already seems to be tainted.
I'm gonna get into that. Shout out to MGTOW Universe again. He says BWE equals MGTOW. I'll wait for BWE to start citing case studies and laws. Not the same, ma'am. That's the same as the feminism argument people keep trying. Well, if BWE brings up the statistics about black men being in jail
And
or
black
black men's
women being abused
economic
all
social
the time.
status,
Black women being abused at the hand of partners, black women being murdered at the hand of their partners. They do like cite, statistics. They do, talk about like real life examples of why they feel, that support their talking points. I'll just say that support their talking
yeah.
points.
So
So
you
I
can't
have seen
say
that.
can't say that.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, what do you think are some of the things that are causing division with BWE?
So, and of course, we're talking specifically as it relates to this question about the friction within the YouTube space. To be completely honest, I don't know if I could pinpoint one thing. So if we're talking about the specific breakdown between B1 and Black Woman Sphere and that camp and Sinji, it seems like there was some sort of somebody feels as though they were played in some way or another. That's what it seems. That's what seems to be the breakdown. That's what seems to have caused like the friction as well as the division, and as well as allegations that a man being Taz, is joining or taking over the movement. From my understanding, I have very loose knowledge of the goings on. I was following it for a couple days, trying to figure out what was going on, but it's so many moving
Baby,
parts that
40
I
days
don't.
and 40 nights.
No. It's definitely not that long. And I was getting the snippets, like the little clips of what was going on, so I don't have the full scope. But I do think I have a pretty good understanding, at least of the beginning of what happened. And then it was too much. I couldn't follow thereafter. But it seems to be like somebody feel like they got played, and as a result, that caused friction, and the friction has spilled over, and it's become very, very public.
Yes. Now it's funny because I really wasn't asking you that specifically.
Oh, so
It's cool.
what you answer, because the same question, but I would like you to answer because maybe you know something that I don't.
Okay. So if you're talking about the division within a movement, okay, so if you have divestors, divestment stands for divesting completely from black men. Completely. I'm done with black men. I'm done with the black community. As far as black men, I'm not dealing with black men, period. But you still have women who fuck black, but are still trying to say that they're divesting. That doesn't work for a movement. Then you have men that are trying to, I'm not even going to say that they're trying to be ahead of that movement, but they've been hoisted in positions that they're also being represented in that movement. So you have white men that are in that movement. You have a couple of black men that have also been in that movement. And a lot of women have problems with men being in that movement, period. Then you have the mammies and fit sitters, which that would be like the chicks that still mess with black dudes. Then you have cliques where you have different cliques and subsections, and so a lot of women will be talking similar talking points, but if you're not glamorous or whatever, then you're excluded from that group, and that also causes division. So those were the
Right.
things that I saw that causes division within that movement.
So you know far more intimately about the movement, I would say, than I know. My knowledge is, like I said, very loose. I don't have a lot of knowledge regarding the inner workings or some of the different sects of the movement. I guess the most recent drama is like more of what I was referring to. I don't know what causes the breakdown. It seems to me as though, people, just going back to just in a more general sense, talking about the movement, people don't respect the fact that other people have their own ideologies that may be separate from the group. So being an individual within the group doesn't seem to work. It's like, if you are not 100% with all of our talking points, all of our ideas, if you support Black men in any way, which I find to be very interesting that they're saying zero support to Black men. Do that stand for your Black son too? Because if you birth a baby and he's a male, despite the fact that his daddy might not be Black, he's going to be viewed as Black. In addition, does that stand for your Black father? Does that stand for your Black brother? Like, who all does that include when you say zero support to Black men?
You're absolutely right. Shout out to MGTOW Universe again. He says, fair enough. If their argument is not enough husband potentials, I would refer to them to the single Black men stats. The single childless ones. They don't care. They don't care.
The thing is, you may refer them to that, and they're going to make the argument that 50%, 51% of Black men are single and childless, and 40% of Black women are single and childless. So they're going to make a counter argument to that argument either way. But I don't think that they care. I agree that they don't care.
They don't care. Do you think that there's enough accountability within their movement?
That's hard for me to say. I don't think that I don't think that people are holding them accountable within the movement. So I think that anyone outside of the movement that tries to bring up an argument about accountability is going to simply be looked upon as a naysayer, a mammy, an opposing force, and they just ain't respecting what you're saying. So if you're talking about as it relates to external forces, absolutely not. They're not going to be accountable to you. They don't feel as though they have to be, and they're going to make arguments that will try to nullify what you're trying to hold them accountable for.
Yeah, I think that BWE also contains a lot of hypocritical talking points. One thing that I noticed with when Nicki Minaj was talking about eat a dick and was telling the men on the internet they could eat a dick if they have anything bad to say about Black women. And then to look who she was married to, and then to watch women not hold her accountable and still say that they're for Black women and girls. I thought that was very, very hypocritical. I think when it comes down to protecting and mammying it up, y'all need to close ranks because y'all got some mammies on y'all side too. Hell, come join us. The way they be talking. And I'm not saying that we would condone that, period, point blank, but the shit that they talk about us, it's like I've seen a lot of discrepancies within their own movement.
Hypocrisy.
Yeah, when it comes down to sexual assault, y'all do not talk about women doing anything to these boys in the cycle that shit starts. Y'all just make it sound like these boys come out like that and there's nothing to that, but there's no account for the shit that grown women are doing to young boys. There's no account for the manipulation. There's no account for your dark femininity. There's no accounting for that. Then y'all try to talk about it from a spiritual aspect, like Black men are supposed to be in spiritual debt to Black women.
I find that interesting. The thing is, though, as it relates to, like, I agree that you don't see them doing streams holding Black women accountable. There's a deficit on the other side too. And what Black men like to say on the other side is that, oh, that's that group of Black men. We're not a part of that group. But solely focusing on BWE, I do think that there's a deficit in them holding Black women accountable. Like you said, Black women who are like the likes of Nicki Minaj, who are with men who have committed heinous crimes against other Black women, Black women who have opened the door to allow their own offspring to be abused. Like, we see stories that highlight these things each and every day, and I don't see a lot of coverage surrounding those topics on the other side.
Exactly.
I think that one could make an argument that their content is more focused on what Black men are doing and how awful Black men are than the areas of improvement for Black women.
That is absolutely true. Absolutely true. Shout out to MGTOW University, says 41% is single and childless, but 80% are fat and very few wife material. But hey, if they want to go from seller to buyer, let's see how long that lasts. But this is the thing. Black men love obese women more than any other race of men. You don't get to have it both ways. You like them thick. You like them with the ass. You like them with them hips. You like them with them legs, them thighs. That's what y'all like.
That part.
You can't, if an obese woman with a good hip to ass ratio, she can't keep niggas off of her. What are you talking about?
Very true. I agree with that wholeheartedly. So does that mean that Black men are part of the problem?
Yes. Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
Do you think that BWE, that they have valid points or valid points of contention with Black men? Do you think so? We can examine them and talk about how their content is not how their content, there's a deficit in their content, but the points that they do highlight and the things that they are saying, do they have some valid points as it relate, or a bone of contention with Black men regarding their areas of concern?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Both
sides have valid concerns. Both sides have valid concerns. If BWE is talking about the economic status of the majority of Black men, that is a talking point. That's a truth. If we're and I would go as far as money and power are concerned. Money and power, running the country, actually having resources for ourselves as a people. Yeah, I think they do have valid concerns there. I think that's a really valid concern. What about you?
I would say that there are some valid concerns. Of course, we don't live in a bubble, so there will be people that will disagree with some of this and say it's not true. But I think concerns about there being a lack of protection for Black women. I think that there are even valid concerns about Black women being attacked and assaulted by people that they have that they're in intimate partnership with. But for every concern that they have, there is some responsibility to be had on the other side. So of course, when we talk about the protection, yes, there's a lack of protection, but there's also a lack of respect. What group is going to want to protect you when you don't even respect them enough? Like, you wouldn't spit on them if they were on fire. What man is going to stand up to protect you when there's just blatant disrespect against their group? And in addition, you want to weaponize their physical strength at you, whenever you feel like it. It's toxic. That's right. And any other instance. But when you need them to stand up and protect you, you want them to use that physical strength, to benefit you. And then as it relates to, Black women saying that Black men are they're who they're in intimate partnership with are, they're abusers, or like at a high rate they're abusing these women and up to and including murdering them. You have to take some accountability for that too. I'm gonna tell you something. I'm obsessed with crime shows. I watch crime shows all day. Even when I'm working, I'm listening to different crime podcasts or watching crime things on TikTok, and there's an overwhelming majority of the cases that these men have a long criminal history, from murder essaying children, attempted murder, multiple physical assaults of other women, and literally a Google search can tell you that. But oftentimes these people are from the same areas, or these are women that have been with them through some of their criminal activity, and they are well aware of what these men are capable of, and they still partner with them. And that's something that we need to address within Black women.
Yep. Shout out to MGTOW Universe again. He says, we live in Lizzo land. So many men are adapting. Fat women are not a first choice, but an easy choice. Well, if they're an easy... Wait a minute, but nobody's telling you have to do anything.
True.
Get your weight up and do what you got to do. That's our advice.
So this ain't a new thing. Black men have been with fat, overweight Black women since forever. This isn't something they're adapting to. This is something that
they made choices for a lot of this shit, and you don't get to blame the women because you chose to make a choice. If she fat and you ain't wanna, and she was fat and you sitting there crying because she fat, then that's your fault. If you still deal with her, that's your fault.
You got if the fat girl. Else,
all the fat girl did
be by yourself rather than be with somebody who you don't really physically desire.
All she did was bring you some of that good home fried chicken fried in that lard with some good butter beans and some okra and some cornbread. And it's like, what's up? You went. It's not her fault.
She fed you good, and
now you want to talk about her because she fat. Niggas ain't shit.
Listen. But the thing is, and then because you'll hear Black men say, oh, because Black women are so fat, they're the fattest group, but then they'll leave Black women and go find them a fat non-Black woman. What's tea?
Oh, shout out to Big J Triple X. He says, let me drop another $1. Sure, appreciate it, Big
J. Appreciate you.
Yeah, but what else was I going to ask you? Oh, let me see if I can pull up this little video. Let me see. Do you think that the movement is super catty at this point?
I think that the movement, I don't know that I would be able to say that the movement is super catty, but what I would say is the movement is divisive. If I had to categorize it something, I would categorize it as divisive. I'm all about Black women empowerment, but if you notice, I don't attach myself to BWE because I feel like it's divisive. I don't attach myself to feminism because I feel like it's divisive. I'm not attaching myself to SYSBM. I'm not attaching myself to any group that I feel divides us as a people, and BWE absolutely does that. So I don't know if I would call it catty, but I certainly would highlight the divisiveness within the group.
Okay. Well, I am going to share this video really quick.
Okay, no problem. Really quickly, while you're doing that, do you think that the BWE movement and SYSBM, since we were able to highlight the fact that there are so many similarities, that there are similarities within both groups, that since both groups are essentially saying that we should separate from each other, that things would get better within the Black community if the advice of both groups is taken. If the majority followed the advice of BWE, followed the advice of most Black men are following the advice of SYSBM, and we partner outside of our core group, do you think that would improve the Black community?
To be honest, yes. There were things that I learned from this space, even from Facebook, within they got a manosphere on Facebook, and being in this space that helped a lot of things with me and with my relationship with my husband. Dare I say it helped me get my husband. There were a lot of things that I'm not even going to say willfully ignored, but it's just things that you don't pay attention to because it's not directly affecting you. And then you have a son. I had my son, and really having to do some self-reflecting and understanding where I messed up at. But if I was constantly pointing the finger at everybody else and ignoring the shit that I actually contributed to, then yeah, I just don't feel like we take enough accountability on our side. And I feel like a lot of the advice that I was giving from this space was really, really sound advice. It made me a better communicator. It made me
Yeah.
softer. I realized a lot of my husband's plights as a black man in my family. So it was a lot of things that I feel like I did learn from this space that actually helped my relationships with black men in general.
No, I think there's good things that come out of the space. I guess I wasn't asking specifically about the advice that comes out of the space, but just solely like the key points that both sides are saying. If black women stop dating black men and date out, and black men stops dating black women and date out in mass, majority of us, will that resolve the issues that we have going on in the black community?
No, because the thing is, we still have a sexual attraction to each other. If black men and black women were able to actually stop having sex, then we'd probably have a thing. But black women can't stay off that black D. And the more kids he got, the better.
Wow. Okay, I wasn't expecting that. Okay.
I'm just saying, like, we like bullshit, and the quicker we come to terms with the shit that we like, and we're honest about that, I think we'll be better off. But if they dated out in mass, they'd be right back together, because other cultures are not going to be able to relate like we're able to relate. If a black person, you go into a restaurant and you ordering some food and your waitress is black and she give you that look when you order something, you already know to go to the next thing on the damn menu.
Yeah, we
She
have
ain't gonna say nothing.
language. Absolutely. But also, people outside of the community are not going to come in and fix the community. Like,
Nope.
you can't, if black women are marrying black or white men or marrying out in mass, you think that those men are going to leave their communities, come into your community and fix it up and clean up the mess and school these kids and play basketball with them and build programs for them? And no, and black and women of other races aren't coming in and cleaning up and playing Mother Teresa either. So it would not improve the state of the black community.
Absolutely not. Shout out to MGTOW Universe. If black men are pursuing ADOS women in other countries, is it really divisive? I thought, in other child. Okay.
Is that what they're doing? Because this is my first time hearing that. I don't think that black men are pursuing ADOS women in other countries.
See, MGTOW Universe, you didn't even say that your first stop was like going to a black country. You wanted to go to the Hispanics. Right.
He did say he wanted a black woman, though. He was very he spoke of that multiple times during our conversation.
Wants an Afro Latina. Shout out to Gaston. Thank you so much for your super sticker, Gaston.
Thank you, bro.
And shout out to 5'5" and 185 is huge. Yeah, if you 5'2" and 140, yeah, that's gonna be huge to you.
Listen, we know B a little guy. He got little guy energy though. But
right,
let's play the video.
And
B
shout
got
out
that
to
little bit.
Auntie
He got that
Wanda.
midget energy. Nothing against midgets, but I'm just saying I can sense it when I encounter it.
Let me play this video.
Thank you. It's so fake. The whole women empowerment, empower black women, and keep us together. It's bullshit.
Elaborate.
I want to hear. Okay, so specifically, let me just speak on my genre for what I know. You know what I'm saying? I do music. I rap. I'm a female artist. So in this industry, it's never, you know what? She's great. Or you know what, she's good at what she does. So you know what, her song is popping. It's always, she should have did this, or she should have did that, or why this off, or why that, you know what I'm saying? Or if she does, speaking generally, if she does up this girl, it ain't because she really wants to. It's because that's what's cool, that's what's popping, and she wants to look like another black woman supporting it. Like, if you're not gonna genuinely support, don't say nothing. I don't want you to come like my post if you don't like me, for real. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
Okay. And the movement is starting to spread out to even where you have a rapper and I'm sure you never know. You never know. They could be here. But you even have a rapper that's saying that it's about some BS. There's no such thing as Black women's empowerment. If women don't really see you as an equal or see you doing better, then they really don't give you any. You ain't gonna get any clout from that. It's like, oh, it's just you. You're a peon. Where the big people at? Let me get on that side. And so I think she brought about a really good point, because if some women are dedicated to staying at the top of their own movements, and they feel like other women coming along in that movement is there for competition more so than they're there for assistance. So
to be completely honest, that is this isn't a new message that Black women empowerment movements, Black women empowerment groups, Black women empowerment social sites have all have issues that they're not really about empowering Black women. I've heard women say this for 5-10 years. I've heard Black women saying that these Black women empowerment groups don't really empower Black women, that some of them are a money grab because you're going on, these going to these conventions, or paying for to be imparted with knowledge and to be told how you can empower other women, and paying to be part of a quote unquote sisterhood, or that it's very cliquey, that it's catty, that it's divisive, that there are a ton of issues within any given Black woman empowerment movement, which begs the question, can Black women even get along? Like, with Black women, no external issues, no men involved, being that there have been, for years, there have been messages saying that these women empowerment movements are a scam and they don't work. Do Black women have a problem getting along with one another? Or is it possible for us to get along with one another? Why or why not?
I think that as it pertains to groups, no, it never works with groups. If you do things on a individual basis, then yes, I think it can work. If it's done, let's just say me and you dealing with each other, and we've had our fights and stuff behind the scenes, but we still get along for the most part. We're still able to run a business.
And the thing is, we really haven't, we've had 2 major dust-ups where we were like, oh my gosh, this chick.
That was your fault.
We have disagreements. Don't get me wrong. We disagree.
That was her fault.
But, yeah, right. See, this is why we disagree. We've had 2, major arguments or disagreements that were, where we were like, okay, we need to take a break, and you cool off in that corner, I'm gonna cool off in this corner. But so that's that. I think that Black women, I think that oftentimes I've seen this happen numerous times, where literally if someone has ideas outside of the group, they have talking points that don't align with everyone else's. They're in defense of who Black women see as the opposition, i.e. Black men, that the entire group will turn on them. That it's like a gangbang, that everybody will drag you. Literally treat you like you are the worst person on earth, call you everything but a child of God, dog you the heck out. I mean, literally, it's ready to come to blows because your ideas don't align with theirs, which is the stupidest thing in the world. We don't respect individuality. You literally have to buy into what's being sold with that group, hook, line, and sinker, in order for you to be a part of it, in order for you not to be ostracized and not to be drugged. And I find that to be problematic. I think that is the biggest problem with groups of Black women. And we see it time and time again, where Black women who have been friends for an extended period of time. So literally they should be empowering one another. They've been friends since, elementary. Go to Miami, and what happened in Miami? Literally they all get to fighting and come back on separate flights, and nobody's speaking to each other after that. We have a problem with getting along with one another.
We do. Shout out to Platinum Elite. What's up, Plat? He says, peace to you. Thank you so much for the super chat. And shout out to MGTOW Universe. He says, Black women in South America equals ADOS for the most part, or is ADOS an American thing? African descendants of slaves.
Yeah, ADOS is American. So like, and we're talking about North America. So I guess I don't think that they would be referred to as ADOS, Black Hispanic women. I don't know what the appropriate title would be, but I've never considered them part of the group when I hear the term ADOS, but maybe I'm wrong. Who knows?
Auntie Wanda, they'll fall out and bring it online because a lot of us get our feelings hurt, especially when we feel ostracized from the group. And so and social media is the new place to bring it out, to expose everything and to show other people what's what, so people won't get involved. But even just to speak on that issue that everybody knows about, as far as Nyland Taz and Black Women's Sphere, even with that situation, and my advice to Black Women's Sphere is, if you are dealing with online entities, and Nyla has amassed a good a name for herself. She's amassed a following for herself. You have to understand that people on the internet don't generally die down, no matter how many people you have coming at them. You have people that will be loyal to whomever they support for however long, until that person decides that they don't want to do YouTube. You'll come with these arguments and different people, and y'all got an army and stuff, and shit'll die down. The numbers will drop for a few, and then all it takes is some good coverage of a subject and them being cool with the right person, and it goes right back up. So it's just one of those things. I ain't got no dog in that fight. No dog in it.
I agree with that. I do want to say, so ADOS, you guys do know that the term ADOS came from Yvette and Tone, and it is literally the term that was derived to go to the to essentially take the U.S. to court for reparations. So it's not including everyone on, American soil, despite the fact whether you're in South America or North America. It's a term derived, and it clearly, we're not saying that just Americans were descendants of slaves, but the term was actually derived as a moniker to as a title, as a name for the group that descended from slaves that were brought here to the U.S. in order to go fight for reparations. So it wasn't inclusive of everyone. But to Auntie Wanda's question, piggybacking off of Auntie Wanda's question, Danny, do you think because we're all human, and as humans, we're going to have differences. We'll have disagreements. Like you said, me and you, like, we're friends. We get along really well. We, kick it in person. We chill, chop it up. We talk offline, like literally have, established a really good friendship. And we don't always agree. So it stands to reason that people will have disagreements. That is normal. But do you think that if the Black women empowerment group as a whole settle their disagreements outside of a public platform, that it would fare better? That essentially the conversation surrounding the group and how it impacts Black women, and if it has a negative effect on how Black women look and their image, would even be a question? Do you think it would be better if they had those conversations or discussions or disagreements in private?
I think it would be much better if these disagreements were had in private. When you have certain discussions in public, you bring up the court of public opinion, and a lot of us are influenced by the court of public opinion, whether we like to believe it or not. No matter how much of an individual we like to think that we are, a lot of people like to go with the winning side. So everybody likes a winner. Everybody likes a winner. So I think it would behoove most people to do a lot of things in private, more so in person. But a lot of us aren't really honest with our friends about what we dislike about them. And generally what we will do is go along with the shit. So if I dislike some shit you do, I'll go and talk to my other friend. Girl, can you believe what this bitch just did? Girl, this bitch so stupid. Da 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 da.
Like,
then she'll see the girl. Oh, hey, girl. Oh, girl, I like what you got on, girl. Girl, let's get together and do lunch. They go to lunch. They go hang out. They go shopping. They go do whatever. Then you'll get to points where somebody's throwing shade and the shade was received and the shade is thrown back. And most people don't like to be embarrassed. You can't really sit there and throw shade and don't think there's no repercussions for it. But then you have to be woman enough to communicate the shit that you don't like. Now, if it is as far as physical looks and you feel like such and such can be better, tell her, girl, what the hell? Where you going, boo? I don't know about that. You could say stuff in a loving way that doesn't have to be necessarily offensive. There's a way to handle your people.
But you know, sometimes I think that people do it online strategically because you want people to back up your opinions of this person. You want to essentially sell them on how you feel about that other party, on how awful that other party is, on how dirty they are, low down. So you literally want to have a public audience because you want them to know how you were wronged or how you feel you were wronged. So oftentimes that is strategic when people go online and take their beefs online, because literally you want everybody to know what type of people you're quote unquote dealing with.
Yep. Hold on. Big Tal, what's up? He says, I took the definition at face value. I didn't know.
Right.
Lord, why are you trying to start?
No. I get it. No, I wasn't even talking to him with my comments. It was, people, Kit Clouds and some of these other folks in the chat popping crap. I wasn't talking to MGTOW. I understand that why you would take that at face value.
Let's see. Look at how messy my IG been out there. And wait till I start my OnlyFans. Lit. MGTOW, what are your thoughts?
I actually appreciate Black women having or carving out their own space. I actually, I mean, if they're encouraging each other, I don't see anything wrong with it. Now, just like any space, whenever you have a group of people with different backgrounds, you're gonna have drama. MRAs and MMORs and SYSBMers and definitely MGTOWs. We all have messiness, and sometimes sometimes is we enjoy the drama. But yeah, on face value, I don't see anything wrong with it. Even if it's things I don't agree with, let women do their thing. Let Black women do their thing. I don't see a problem. Now, as far as Black women trying to do the SYSBM thing, like I said, women are sellers, not buyers. Women complain about paying half on one date. They're not going to go buy a husband. Y'all not built y'all not built that way.
But women don't have to buy a husband. Like, as a woman, you just have to present whatever that man finds value in. If that's, your femininity, your beauty, you being physically fit, you being, kind and considerate and loving, you have to present what that party finds valuable. And we know typically men aren't looking to be taken care of typically. So women don't have to be buyers in order to succeed in, going outside of the country to find love.
If that's the case, if it's that simple, then why are 75% of Black women having problems?
Well, I don't think it's that simple, but to answer your question, most Black women can't afford to go traveling out of the country and traveling back and forth and
let Instagram tell it they can all do it.
Of course, there are those highlights that you see from Instagram, but oftentimes you got them, they putting them trips on Klarna, paying 25% up front and stretching the rest out over the rest of the year. But also, you guys like to tout the statistics about Black women only making $30,000 a year or something to that effect. With $30,000, you ain't going to be able to afford traveling back and forth outside the country to go and find you a mate.
You can if you're living with roommates or your parents. You can.
Yeah,
you can.
Even still, I think that would be, one might make an argument that you're mishandling your funds because, sis, if you got $30,000, you need to sit down somewhere and get you a trade or find a way to come up on some more money.
Really? That's how, like, I think, especially like when Shaquille O'Neal made his comments about his sons and his daughters, like we knew that's just how people think, or at least that's how we think people think in general, that fathers show their sons tough love and then they love their daughters. So a woman can stay at home at 35, 40 and no one's going to bat an eye. But if your son stays home at 20, that nigga got to get the fuck out.
I mean, I think that's different. Like if your daughter is home, but she's mismanaging her money or spending the salary that she does make, that is, she's living in poverty and she's spending the few coins that she does have traveling abroad to try to find a husband. I think most people would say that's not the most sensible way to be spending your money. You should be saving up to have your own space.
I think my point is that people don't really care. No one sees a 40-year-old woman staying home. Not no one, but I don't think society as a whole sees a 40-year-old woman staying home with her parents as a loser.
But MGTOW, I'm talking about okay, so I think that people do see a 40-year-old woman staying at home with her parents as a loser. I was going to say, especially if she has children, but no, not even especially if she has children. If you don't have children and you're 40 years old and you still living in your mama house, people are going to view you as a loser. But more than that, your family, I don't know too many Black families that would not have a problem with their adult daughter who's living in poverty, so much so that she has to move back home, but is able to travel often outside of the country. I think that most people would be like, oh, hell no. You're going to be paying some bills up in here if you can keep running to Jamaica. And, I saw this woman who went to Jamaica and dated this guy and he ended up swindling her. But if you keep running to this resort in Jamaica to get with the pool boy and, every few months you're traveling back and forth there, you're going to be paying some bills here. I think most people would take issue with their daughter or son traveling outside the country frequently, but living at home.
That's a good point. Are divestors a part of BWE or?
Yes.
Okay. Is there anything worse than, I don't want to say worse, that's the wrong word, but is there anything more, more radical than divestors in that space?
That's a good question. So far, I haven't seen anything outside of them they've really caused me to raise my eyebrows the most, because they do have the most damning messages against Black men. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But outside of them, I haven't heard anything that I'd shake a stick at.
Now, would you all say in this space, what is their goal in essence? Like the manosphere goal, I mean, there's different sects, but usually their goal is to either, go overseas or...
No. Their goal is to expose Black men like they feel like they've been exposed within this decade. I heard divestment zealot say that she wanted to be like the equivalent to Tommy or something along those lines. May not be verbatim.
Is that the lady with the wallpaper with the Black
that's
man
her.
hanging?
Yep, that's the one.
Okay.
Yeah. But she said she said that Tommy had been putting out so much information and so much stuff about Black women. She said I don't even think she works. I forget, but she was like, she was going to put out the same type of content on Black men, so they can have their own movement. So it was essentially, some of it was get back, at least from her standpoint, because they do have different women that represent their movement.
Right.
They're not all on one accord either.
Last question, I'll get on the mic, Mrs. Z. As I said when we was doing the interview, I think like the Black manosphere, I do believe Black men, majority of Black men love Black women. do you see, and I don't want to call it as like a cry for help or a cry for attention, do you see this, the BWE as kind of like, all right, men, we love you, but you got to do better? Do you see it like that, or do you really think it's like, we don't like black men, we hope they die, or they can't die soon enough?
I think that when black men were able to date out more so than they were, or more so than it was ever a consideration for us, and black men were starting to really date out, and it was a public thing, and every time you saw a rapper, actor, some shit like that, they were always with others on their arm. I think it became like one of those things, well, if you don't like me, then I don't like you. And then when you see the representation, I would, and this is, I don't know how to put this without it sounding messed up. So they would say like a group like MGTOW, and this is not, I'm here, so I don't believe this, but they'll think like groups like MGTOW, SYSBM, basically represents like the rejects that black women didn't want, right? And so,
as you stated earlier in the live stream, but go ahead.
Yeah, and I don't think that. I don't think that. I don't look at it like that. But I think that's the impression that they have. It's like, these are guys that we didn't want, but they were able to do something. And so if they don't want us, we don't want them. And I feel like certain guys were being rejected like way back when and kept being rejected. So why would black men stick to somebody who didn't want them in the first place?
Right.
Or certain subsections, if they felt like they weren't wanted, why would they stay? And then when these guys grow up and become successful, cleared up the acne, grew some nuts, then it's like, oh, now you don't want me, oh, you too good for me now. And I think it's a thing like that. Or when the hot girl was a hot girl, well, the hot girl's always been a hot girl, but when Keisha get pregnant with about 5 kids and she looking like, oh, what's up? Oh, you don't want me now? Oh, you want, that's what you want, you know what I'm saying? So it's a thing. So yeah, that's where I'm at with it.
I got other questions, but I'll pass it to Mr. Z.
We'll come back to you, MGTOW. What's good, Mr. Z?
What's going on, y'all? What's up? What's up?
I know you coming up here with some mess.
Oh, you already know I am.
Concrete. Let's breathe.
Look. BWE is schizophrenic because they trying to put everything in the pot and then keep everybody united. They're black feminists. They're black divestors. They're black swirlers. They're black modern women. They want to be feminine. All of that in the same pot, and then say, hold steady, girls.
You don't think the manosphere did the same thing?
Here's the difference. Here's the fundamental difference between the black women empowerment and the black and black men. They're framed way earlier than we did.
You said they what? Way earlier?
Right.
They're framed. They're not keeping it together, and it didn't
wait a minute.
Right.
Whoa. Let's stop.
Go ahead.
See, this is why people think that the black manosphere is like disingenuous as hell. Not only have they've been catty, disagreed, whatever, they have kept their movement together. Black men have had the manosphere. The manosphere had to be a division between white manosphere and the black manosphere. Then you got the black manosphere who's had leaders who have never seemed to. No, they were on the same accord at one point, and then when that accord was broken, they've never been on the same accord.
But wait. Okay, let's go to that. Why did they break apart?
Doesn't matter. They still broke apart. They're still afraid.
Because if we're talking about black, it's because black men, we're talking about black issues. And when they realized the white boys were trying to be like, no, it's just women. We're like, yeah, okay, fuck you, we're out. Right.
So why was the infighting why has there been infighting amongst the group or throughout the group?
Oh, with black men, no. Remember what I said? I said they kept it together longer than the women did. I didn't say it didn't rip apart. I'm just saying they kept it together longer. And if we're gonna be 100% honest, okay. So one of the issues that with the BWE movement, right? Mm-hmm. Is it a social movement? Is it a political movement? It's the same thing we kind of have on the man side, right? But when you have content creators who are disciples of bell hooks, with and then at the same time that same content creator is pushing femininity, but then also pushing Black women empowerment in a semi pseudo conservative way with a little bit of like liberal ideology. And that one person, mind you, I'm not even talking about different content creators. That one person to me represents the schizophrenia in the Black women empowerment movement, right? Because you're advocating for things that sometimes are diametrically opposed. Sometimes it is a binary, right? So this is one of the major issues.
Well, Mr. Z, I was gonna say, the thing that I think you're kind of failing to realize is that Black women have amassed more more political power than Black men.
Off of the death of Black men, that's one of the issues that they're gonna. Even in death, Black women need Black men. But even in death, there would be no BLM if there wasn't a Philando Castile, if there was no Michael Brown, if there was no Trayvon Martin, right? So even in death, they need us. And this is what you saw tied to Black women empowerment. This is what you saw when Cube started to speak, right? When Ice Cube started to speak, if you can allow Black men to actually have a political identity outside of just being Black. In other words, if Black women get to be Black women and Black men no longer are just going to be Black, that's an issue for Black women empowerment in general, because half of what they got is from our struggle. It's from the death and the oppression of Black men specifically as being Black men. So tying that to Black women empowerment, I would argue that outside of the intelligentsia of Black women empowerment, because some of these people are academics. One of the content creators did say she had a master's degree in some type of statistics or whatever, and I believe her. So outside of that small sliver, I would argue most Black women on that side of the sphere don't really understand how much of what they have is literally from Black men.
Yeah, but that was a need that was there. That's not like Black women are taking the lives of Black men and then like Black women didn't create that need. However, they saw that need and stepped in support of. So, I mean, I don't know. That's kind of like
I don't know. I don't think okay. So what I'm saying is when you look at what I'm saying is the BLMs of the world are not actually for Black people, Black men specifically, right? So what they do is they use the death of primarily straight Black men as fuel for their movements. We can tie all of that to BWE, right? Because if you're not politically astute, you don't actually know what ground you stand on. You may think most of what you have is off of your own merit. And I'm not saying that these people didn't protest and do whatever and whisper in certain politicians' ears. We're not going to say any of that. It didn't happen. But the genesis of you even getting to that point was the death of certain Black men. So if you then discount if you allow Black men, and this is what once again the intelligentsia understand, if you allow those Black men to have their own identity, then quite frankly, where do you stand and where do you go from there?
I do want to say, I'm in agreement with, pretty for the most part, what you're saying. I do think that, for as a group to say that you're for Black woman empowerment, to empower Black women is not pushing a message that, Black men are awful, that we're being subjugated, that they're oppressing us, that, Black men are, the spawn of Satan, as opposed to what it should be. What that should look like is, encouraging Black women to be the best version of themselves and to, seek out someone that will truly love them. Actually educating Black women on the red flags to look for, because we talked earlier about Black women partnering with, men that take their lives. Literally, some of the common stats that you hear amongst that group is the domestic violence statistics regarding intimate partner violence. As opposed to focusing on that and how that's an area of opportunity for Black women to coach other Black women as it relates to what things to look for and finding, ways in which they can try to curtail some of that violence. They want to simply focus on how awful Black men are and essentially lay that at the feet of all Black men. As
Can I say this and I'll shut up?
Be held accountable for, those who you partner with that commit domestic violence against you.
I'll say this and I'll shut up. one of the reason why I think one of the reasons, because there's bigger internal issues, right? Interracial issues. One of the reasons why sisters do this, especially when you start talking about academia, is because where the money is. If white feminists have a fucked up worldview about black men, and so do white male academics, then if you're chasing after the dollar, then you are gonna give us the Waiting to Excel story about black men, right? The Tina Turner, Ike Turner stories about black men, right? The Color Purple stories about black men, because white academia wants to hear that, right? So when a lot of sisters don't really get that, right? They don't. I make this argument, right? Either way, we still end up in a messed up place. But there are straight up, Raj calls them just bad people, bad black women that know exactly what they're doing, like to the T. And they walk in all the lemmings. Those are the bitter, angry sisters that are mad about who they couldn't get in high school or in college. They're walking all of them off of a cliff. Now, if you're the intelligentsia, you think you have a mission. Your mission is to either try to end up with white dudes, or like try to, show your bona fides to white racist society, or whatever it is, try to separate from black men and become your own political and social entity. But if you're just the average sister you just want to make your baby daddy feel the pain, you're gonna fall off that cliff, think you're flying until you hit that cold, hard ground. And I think that's where the majority of them are. They just want to make black men feel the pain, but Go ahead,
but this is the thing that I still think that black men do with this dying alone shit, and trying to create like this fear of them dying alone or them being by themselves and all this shit. It's not going to work.
I wasn't saying that.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is if they're being walked off cliff, that's on them. They don't care. They don't care if they're being walked off a cliff. If they all feel that if they have this message that black men aren't shit, and that's the script that they're sticking to, then it is what it is. But they don't care. And they let me finish.
I'm sorry.
And they feel like black men are in the same position or worse. So you know what I'm saying? So it's two cheeks of the same ass. So everybody's dying alone.
Which is stupid thinking. So if we're walking off a cliff, we're okay with the fact that we're walking off a cliff as long as we know that you're walking off the cliff ahead of us. Like, that's the thing. Oh, yeah.
Well, I say this to BGS all the time. Me and him, this is the one place me and BGS really disagree. He's like, struggle and starvation to get their mind right. And I'm like, I don't think you understand the women under 40. They're so angry that they'll starve to death just not to ask you for some food because they don't want to give you the gratification.
Yeah, but BGS from the old school, and old school believing pain does cause change. But if you still have men that can't get together on one accord, and you have half the men trying to save them and half the men on the other side, and then those other half are still at the end of the day, everybody's gonna want some ass. Everybody's gonna want some pussy, and men don't have the discipline to say no. Men don't have the discipline for that, and so we're always gonna have men on our side that help.
Newfangled niggas.
We will always have men on our side to protect us and to defend us, whether we're right, wrong, indifferent.
But are they really protecting and defending us? Because we're constantly making arguments that we're not protected and no one is defending us.
This is the thing. I feel like we are protected, but women want men to run and jump at their every whim. Yep. When a woman got her ass beat up at the goddamn Asian nail shop, and the black men went and stood out there and was like, no, we're boycotting this shit, and women was still like, fuck that, we going anyway. Yeah. You would still have men to come and defend that. I mean,
that was a good example of what comes with male protection. With male protection, there's going to come a set of rules. Like, okay, because as a man, if I'm putting my life on the line, I got to make sure that I can do what I can in order to get back to my family. So if I'm standing in support of you, if I'm standing up and I'm fighting for you, I'm going to have a set of rules that I need you to follow because I need to keep me safe. And in order to do that, I need you to play your role. And Black women weren't willing to do that. That was a great example of why a lot of men are not willing to put their necks on the line, because if I put my neck on the line and you say F me, you still going in there and getting a deal on the 50% off weave. What am I doing here?
Right. You're right. Shout out to Roger Reports. Shout out to my brother. Peace. He said divestors don't matter. There isn't enough of them to count for anything.
Well,
Roger,
they're just one aspect, Roger. We're talking about PWE.
They're one aspect of that, but you have to take into consideration that movement is growing by leaps and bounds. And if I'll tell you, every now and then I would go and check Divestment Zealot's numbers, right? I think when I was first going to our chat room last year, end of last year, I think she was doing about an average of about a good 400. She's up to 1,000 people damn near every stream now.
Wow.
Sinji can keep about 2,000 people in her chat with the message of abort black male babies.
I love it.
And I'm seeing the messages outside of YouTube too. Literally, I'm seeing women on social media. I mean, on TikTok, promoting divest from black men. Literally,
I love it.
So the movement is definitely growing. I would say there's definitely some credence that should be paid to it, because at some point I think everybody's going to affect each other. Just like the manosphere.
Yeah. People thought the same thing about the manosphere. Oh, that's a small little space. That's nothing to worry about. You know, all it takes is one person to go viral in their content.
And they did it a couple days ago with the guy with that was SYSBM.
Well, the reason why the manosphere grew is because, there were women that were advertising for us by doing anti-MGTOW or anti-MRA videos.
Just like y'all do anti-divestment things.
I guess,
the biggest growth was when we started to see Kevin Samuels go viral. Like literally now he's essentially a household name.
Yeah, from Whoop That Trick. Shout out to Marco Ross. He says more than half Mr. Z. Thank you so much for that, Marco. Yep.
Hope it gets worse. I love it.
You hope it gets worse.
Yeah, I told y'all that in the interview. I hope it gets worse.
Was up here. Who left?
Because
that was actually Amiri.
Oh, Amiri
came up, but
Amiri, if you're still in the chat, definitely come up, because we definitely love to hear what you have to say on the topic.
What's up, brother Roger?
What's happening, y'all? What's happening? Can y'all hear me?
Good. We can hear you.
We can hear you.
Okay.
Boost mode.
Okay, I'm just making sure. Hater. But what y'all was saying about the divestors, nobody cares. That movement doesn't matter, because you need another outside group to be okay with it. They're trying to divest from black men, but get white men. It's got to be cool with white men first.
So you haven't.
It ain't. Go ahead.
I was gonna ask you. So within this space, and our space is small, you have this guy Cohen. There's a guy named Cup of Joe. There was Mr. E. There was the white couple that came through with. I think her name was Cassie. I forgot the other guy's name. There have been a couple of white men that have been on board with this. I think that white men are on board with this. White men have joined with black women in talking shit about black men. I'm starting to notice that a lot more than I've ever noticed that before.
Not in mass.
White men are
not in mass, not yet.
White men are smart. If they come out and say shit about black men, they're gonna get paid, and women gonna give them money, especially if they white. They have the potential to make more money than anybody else. That's just being intelligent. But when it comes to them and actual having relationships, there are numbers attached to interracial relationships. If black women can get a white man, have at it. Yep. We ain't got time to care about that. Have at it.
Yep.
No, but y'all do care about that though, and that's
not the ones who want the white. If you come out and profess that a white man is look. If you want a relationship with a white man, the white man is your leader. Ain't nothing I can do with you.
Yeah, but you're not gonna
talk about.
But the whole thing is when that happens, y'all feel just about the same way we do when we see black men date out. Y'all have a problem with black women dating out.
They don't care.
Wait a minute, I'll give you a prime example. When that white boy was on Cynthia G and she had him and she was parading him around, damn near every man I saw was having a freaking fit because she did that. Y'all care about white men being thrown in your y'all care about that. Come on.
No. There's always like a group of men like the hotel people or like Hebrew Israelites, and that's going to be an issue for them because of their belief system. But the average everyday brother, why would I concern myself with some black woman who wants to date some white man? What am I supposed to do with a woman like that? She wants a white guy. I'm not a white guy. There's nothing for me to do. There's no way I can become a white guy. It is something that I have zero concern with, and any intelligent brother know he can't become white. There's nothing he can do about that. So it's a dead issue. So therefore, she should be ignored. And that's what smart men gonna do. You just ignore them.
I would say, Roger Report, that you're right. If men were acting rationally, they should just move on. But I know for a fact that, the guys that, they talk to black unity and black love and everything, they don't want to see that. Just like black women, a lot of black women don't want to see a black man with a different race of woman. Some men care, even though there's nothing that they could do about it. They should move on, but it just bugs them.
Yeah. And that's a lot of y'all. You know what? The fact that y'all would be talking about divestors, period, within the manosphere, period, says that y'all are concerned about what women are doing, especially if they're dating white men.
Because they berating black men and pushing this notion that black male babies should be aborted, or are they concerned because of who they're choosing to promote and to date and marry with?
I'll be honest with you. I don't think black men even care about that. It's just offensive. Like we don't really care. It's just, how dare you talk about? We don't actually care about black babies being aborted.
Much of it is the
idea of how dare you. Go ahead.
So that I'll take it even a step further. It's the neo-Nazi language. I agree with the brother when he said it's not even, to a certain extent, it's not even the black babies being aborted as bad as that is. It's the language, right? So yeah, I mean, look, we already know black women been piping, and having sex with white men forever. Like that's not a concern. Your great grandfathers was raising mixed babies, right? So like, come on. So like, that's not even the issue. The issue is the language. If you're gonna appeal, if this is part of black women empowerment, if you're going to appeal to white men, does it have to be at the expense of black men and in this way, right? So like that lets me know what you really think about white men. You think most white men or all white men are on some racist anti-black thing. I don't even know if I disagree with you on that, but so the way you appeal to them is by saying abort black sons. The way you appeal to them is by saying, the worst, most heinous things about black men, you get off on. I mean, like, we literally got sisters talking about you get off on watching white racist cops beat up on black men. If that's part of black women empowerment, that's a real thing. No, that's a real thing. That's a real video. Dr. Hassan has it. He played it. Multiple people have played that clip. Yeah. So sisters, yeah. Why am I even calling them sisters? Yeah, no. Yeah. And she, she was on that same live. She was saying, because the other lady was trying to slip in the N-word. Black woman trying to slip in the N-word with the hard ER. And she's like, no, leave that. We do that backstage. We do that, away from, the eyes. And so,
yeah.
That's part of black women empowerment. Those women are part of that group.
You know what karma is?
Yeah,
real,
but wait,
you pushing that upon somebody, Lord. Oof.
But wait a minute. The same way that you had guys that were on Black Avenger that would also be considered a part of the manosphere. Y'all, it's a fine.
Yeah, they've said it on YouTube. And
it's a fine freaking line. Yeah.
What? No, the thing is, the black manosphere, we define who we is. If we didn't put you on the list, they don't count. any random black
Yeah, but
man
this
saying
was
any random
some
thing.
time ago. And have you ever been on Black Avengers, Roger?
No, I understand what you're saying, but this is the thing. Everybody wants to associate who they want conveniently with the black manosphere. If we didn't put them on the list,
these
they
were
don't matter.
people that were held as being part of the manosphere. Like these were people who were. Well, actually, there was content that was highlighted about Obsidian and some of the negative things that he said about black women.
Okay, but I mean, there's negative things to be said. So what?
Yeah,
Somebody said something negative. There's plenty of negative things to be said. But when it comes to divestors, somebody may have talked about it because they heard of it. But at the end of the day, when it comes to relationship, a man is the lead. If a woman is following a white man, they have a total separate agenda at that point. The black community don't need to be concerned with them, period. Now, I understand you're going to have, like I said, there's always going to be that little hotep section that's going to say something. There'll be the Hebrew Israelites who's going to say something. And then there was some guys raised that, you got to worry about black women no matter what they do. And that was just a stupid teaching a lot of guys got from their mama. But as they mature and become into their own, you have to understand, if somebody is on another track, that's not your team. You don't worry about them no more. So who cares about a divestment? White men should care about divestment. There's nothing for black men to concern themselves with when it comes to those people. They're worthless people to us.
I agree.
I'm not saying they can't do what they want to do. I'm just saying I don't care that you're doing it because you just said white men is your leader. So go follow them. There's nothing to talk about with black men when it comes to a divestment.
Roger, do you think that they're doing that in hopes of the black men that I believe that they really want, in hopes that those black men will do better by seeing negative images? Kind of like a reverse psychology.
No, what they want is they want men to react to them and feel some form of jealousy because that's what they feel. And that's what and my thing is, I ain't nobody got time to be worried about you. You picked the white man, go follow him.
Yeah, and it's the same, but everybody has the same message on the opposite side. Because the thing, let me finish my point. Let me finish. Because if it's black men dealing with white women, and let's say something happens to the black man that dealt with white women, what they gonna tell y'all is they don't have nothing to do with us. Go over there with them. This is not our fight. That was the big movement behind the what's his name?
I forgot his name, but I know you're talking about.
Yeah,
Toby. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, and it literally just happened. And so what I'm saying is it's the same thing on the opposite side. It's a lot of the same talking points brought up on the opposite side. A lot. It's very similar. Very similar.
They don't count though, because women aren't the leaders of relationships. They're not the leaders of society.
Wait. You know what's crazy, Roger? You know what's crazy is if we look at fuck it, I'm gonna go.
They're gonna say that y'all aren't leading society either. That's what those women are.
They can say whatever they like, but in reality, men get together, men make things happen.
Yep.
Whatever woman you deal with has to move in the direction of the society you belong to as a man. So when a black woman dates a white man, she has to start gearing toward white society. Period.
Yep.
A black man don't have to do that when he date a white woman. The woman has to start gearing toward black.
Roger. You have a movement called SYSBM. You have men that are willing to denounce their whole culture to get away from black people.
Before you counter me, just let me say it. At the end of the day, any man who chooses a woman of any race, that woman has to make a choice. Do I want to deal with that man and his group? They have to start gearing towards the group they're going to.
We've had men in this space that have openly admitted. O'Shea did an interview with a guy who said he had to denounce. He said even his speech, the music he listens to, he moved away and left everything he knows. His name is Chris. Like that happens. Like there are men who literally denounce all of their blackness to fit into a white society
or whatever culture.
Any woman who's with him got to do what he say. She got to join whatever he said. That's how it is. When you
No,
man,
he's doing what
the
she
woman has-
A
says.
white man say he needs to do.
Wait, no. You said the man had already made a choice to leave black, quote unquote, black society
When he met
alone,
her,
which means that woman has to gear toward whatever he says. If
You're
he wants to
saying
be
that
around
no,
black-
that's not true.
That doesn't make
That's
sense.
not it. That's not even true. If
How can two people be together if they're not going to agree with a direction?
He's clearly being led by her. If he has,
Facts.
he was saying it as though he does not want to denounce the music he listens to, that he has to sneak and listen to certain music, that he can't use black vernacular. He wasn't saying it like, I'm proud that I have to do this. He was saying, I had to give up on
I have
and
a
he
question
was
about
actually
that.
being led by the woman. Anytime that you're saying that you're willing to give up your culture, your way of life, your way of being as a black man to go and live in somebody else's culture, then you are following behind the woman. If you're giving up any parts of yourself, you are following behind the woman. The woman is not acquiescing to that situation. What the woman is doing, she cooking and cleaning and she's being nice. But if a man is actually sitting there denouncing his culture, he's definitely following behind the woman.
I have a question. Did he denounce?
So,
did he do
before
this?
you ask
Hold
that
on,
question,
just one
let me make
question.
one quick statement. So basically, y'all saying there is some example out there, so we're going to take the exception and make it the rule. Men don't follow women in general. We all know this. So
That's not true.
A woman's going to have to coincide with what that man is doing.
You know what, Roger? I think that if you're saying that women don't follow behind men don't follow behind women, that's the way it should be. I absolutely agree with that. But if you're saying that doesn't happen, we're in a situation where they're calling the black society, the black community, a matriarch. The matriarch means that men are following behind. The women are the leaders, or the women have been the leaders. The men have allowed themselves to be led.
Good point, Danny.
I have a question. So the guy,
even in that, the
hold on,
man
just let me
had to
ask
buy
this question.
into it.
Did she actually tell him he had to denounce it, or did he just feel like he had to?
I think that he felt like
to be
he had
accepted,
to.
be accepted, and because he followed her halfway across the country, leaving his hometown and stuff to a very small, like he said, there's like hardly any black people in the entire town. He left everything he knows to go and following behind her to this small town where he's in the extreme minority, and so in order to fit in, he had to denounce his blackness.
Somebody should have told him about
Can
SYM.
I speak on this real quick? First of all, let me just say hello to the panel.
Hey, Uncle Stu, let me read your super chats real quick. Shout out to you. Thank you so much. He says, this issue has been going on since the 90s, so this is not new at all. I can speak big time, showing support and love, and we definitely appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Shout out to RB Aura. He says, if conservatives outlaw abortion, could sellout marriages be next? Baby.
Loving versus Virginia.
Oh, no, you didn't bring up the case, child. Thank you so much, RVR. Okay, Uncle Stu. Oh, wait. We got one more. Shout out to D-Mac the trucker. He says, my Becky listens to what I listen to, and she follows me.
Stop
well,
lying.
that's
You know
we're really excited. You're like one out of a million.
Green Day. Stop lying.
Becky finally listening to something.
One quick statement before you go on to man. Make one quick statement. It's gonna be extremely quick. And all I'm saying to y'all, because I'm not arguing that you don't have some men that are women led. What I'm telling you is the man has to already buy into it. If he's bought into women should lead, then that's the direction he's gonna go. But the woman is with that man because of the direction he chose to go. He chose to be led by a woman, so therefore she's cool with it. You see what I'm saying? If he don't make that choice, she's with a whole different person. Go ahead, Uncle Stu. Thank you, sir.
All right, that's not a problem. I just want to make sure that I have clarity because I just came in within the last 5 minutes and overheard the conversation. Is what I'm to understand, are y'all arguing about the divester community in the sense of, is it popular, or are you arguing the reasons behind, this intercultural war? What really is the premise of the argument, so I know how to respond correctly?
Well, Roger came up and said that divestments, it's basically not anything to be concerned with, and he said Black men definitely shouldn't be concerned with, because these women have said that they're under the direction and leadership of white men. And Concrete and I are basically saying that Black men are definitely concerned with it. Just like Black women are concerned with Black men dating out, Black men are concerned with Black women dating out. And
I don't necessarily think they're concerned with Black women dating. I think they are concerned with the divestment group, but I think it's because of the message and rhetoric that they pushing.
Okay. Let me respond this way. And if you don't mind, I'm going to kind of quickly do it from a historical perspective. And I'm only going to go back into the 90s. I'm not going to go deep into the, Virginia versus Lovett case and all this other stuff. In the early 90s, Black women was leaving Black men by the thousands, and it was very well known. And if you look at what's his name's mother, who became a world famous actress, the divestment has always been taking place. And one of the leading arguments among African-American women, especially since they started rising up in the economic and social class, was that African-American men could not, achieve, or they have not risen up to those economic and sociological levels. This was one of the explosions of, and one of the pivotal reasons behind the Million Man March in 1995. So Black women has been leaving the African-American male community. Now, my argument with it is, and I agree with what Roger's report had to say. For many African-American men, we really don't care. Do you, love you, be with who want to love you. And I agree that if you do go that direction, fine. I think the biggest argument has to be when African-American men do it. That is when we become over-policed. That's when we become abused. That's when we become pushed out of the African-American community. When a Black woman dates out, she's still part of the community. When a Black man dates out, he is pushed out of the community. So this is the over-policing of the African-American males that needs to be talked about. Now, there's two different arguments that seems to be on the table. One argument has to be, are you leaving the Black community because of true, pure love? Because I have to recognize there are some people that grew up a certain kind of way, grew up culturally a certain kind of way, and they are rejected by the African-American community. Meaning, when we define what is Black culture or what is Black experience, we have to recognize that we're a diverse culture. And a lot of times, people that grew up a certain cultural way are rejected by the African-American community and is more accepted by other communities. We have to accept that as a fact of cultural understanding. Second thing that we have to accept as a fact is there are some that, hey, they just love the other race. And it's all about pure love. Has nothing to do with hating Black people. We can look at examples of people that has married out but still love their people, love their fight, love their plight. They just happen to be married to someone different. Now, I think when we're looking online at these particular divestors, what we're looking at is African Americans who has not only rejected being in the Black community, but they really divest out because of a hate. And see, that is the argument that needs to be made. If now I have a Black woman, Black children, Black mama. So for all those who want to think I'm going, I'm not sticking with my people. I love my people. But please understand that if, let's just say that, if argumentatively I was with a white woman or with a Hispanic woman, I could be with her in love and in leadership, but still believe in my people in the sense of advancement, in the sense of culture, in the sense of education. So there's a difference between loving somebody of the opposite color because of love versus loving somebody because I hate my own. So I think we have to get the two separated. Because again, I know Black people who have went and married outside their race, but love their people. So there's a difference between I'm marrying out of love versus I hate my people. And I think that when we begin to talk about the divesting community, at least from some, I haven't really indulged in that community because I love my people. But at the same time, some of the language that I'm hearing is not about loving the other race, it's about hating your own. And that's the difference. Am I making sense to anybody?
I think you're making sense, and I have to agree that I'll be real quick. So I have to agree that just because you marry out, that does not necessarily denote hate for your own group. But marriage and deciding to marry, like that's a series of actions. And I often hear in this space, and I often hear men say, men are more logical, and like literally, men aren't generally led by their hearts. Most people understand that marriage is a business deal. Like you're literally entering into contract with someone else, and you understand the importance of what all goes into that. So if you say that you love your people and your plight is, uplifting your people and you're all about the community, the first way in which you symbolize that is to marry someone within your community, and in order to build with someone that looks like you. But I do agree that just because you marry out does not mean that you hate your group, and that you wish ill on the Black community, and that you don't support your group. But I do think marriage is a series of conscious decisions. It's not something that just happens by happenstance. You're just walking down the street and boom, you see a beautiful white woman and you just fall in love and you see butterflies. Like, no, it's a series of conscious decisions. And I think that we often do talk about the extremes. We're focused on the group who hates Black women, wants nothing to do with them, don't find them desirable, and would not even entertain a Black woman because of their disdain for, women who look like them. As opposed to those who are somewhere in the middle of the road, and for whatever reason they decide to date and marry outside their race.
Right, and also remember, I did give you a little. Hold on, Mr. Roger Report. I did give you a small caveat, and that is a caveat that everyone that again, this isn't the topic that y'all on, but for a future conversation, it really needs to be understood. What is Black culture? What is Black experience? The reason I say that has to be a subconscious or a conscious conversation is because if you take a Black male who was raised up in an environment where, let's say, argumentatively, he was mostly around white people or white culture or even a economic status, he is rejected. She is rejected. We have to recognize that we do have within our own culture a rejection of certain types of Black people. Agreed. Meaning, if you speak a certain kind of way, or if you was culturally raised up a certain kind of way, then you are rejected. Let me give you an example. Let's take me as the example. I don't normally brag about this. I don't normally talk about this, but I suffered in that manner. I was not raised in poor neighborhoods. I was raised with a mother and a father, and I grew up extremely wealthy. Guess what? I was rejected by my own people. Why? Because I didn't suffer the same way they suffered. Yet, I'm a Black man because every time I step out my house, I'm still Black. I love my people. But
I understand that, and I think we've all dealt, like myself and Danny have highlighted that before, just as being dark-skinned women. In addition, I was raised in a very small town, and I remember going to the closest big city would have been Chicago, and everyone talking about how proper I sounded and facing isolation and rejection because of the way that I spoke. So I think that often there are like many sects of Black people who deal with that type of rejection, but I do understand your point. Roger, I know you're trying to get in. Go ahead, brother.
I just wanted to get that point out. That's all.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Uncle Stu. Let me read these super chats real quick, and you got it next. Shout out to Better Future. He says, white women don't even listen to white men, and you expect them to listen to us who have no social status in society that they dominate? Ooh. Ooh. Shout out to New York. He says, hey, Sister George, concreterose, and Brother Curlin. Shout out to you, New York, and thank you so much for the super chat. Roger, take it away.
Okay, this is the thing. It's a conflation of different groups of people. People have interracially dated for a long time. Divestors are not just interracial daters. Divestors are people who can't stand black men. They hate black men. They want to see the downfall of black men, and they want to date interracial because of that. That is a small percentage of a small percentage, because there's a small percentage of black women that are interracially dating and marrying white men. But but that's an even smaller percentage of the women who actually do that. The divestors is a very, very small group of people, and the only way to actually make them seem like they something is to start conflating them with other people who happen to be interracially dating. Those are the ones that can't stand us, hate us, and want to kill our children. They're nobody. Period. There's not enough of them to matter. They want to matter, but they don't. It's just not enough of them.
I think it's a bifurcation of our society. The brother was speaking earlier about, essentially black people, how we speak and how we act towards brothers and sisters that come from, somewhat of a different background or somewhat of a different situation. And maybe that's why that person ends up white. Well, I will say this, right? I like to use the Asian community as the juxtaposition because mainly we do it. So I like doing it too. And they have much of the same situation, but many of them are solidly middle or upper middle class, yet they're still marrying out primarily to white people at a high rate. Once again, 54% for Asian women, 39% for Asian men, primarily to white people. I bring that up to say it's at the end of the day, it's a white chase. When sisters talk, when these divestors talk, and this is tying all the way back to black women empowerment. When they talk about black men, they primarily compare black men to white men. They primarily marry and date. When these divestors finally end up with a non-black man, they're not really talking about Latino men, because we know black men on average make more than Latino men, right? It's not about Latino men. It's not about Arab men. It's not about South Asian men. It's not about East Asian men. It's primarily about white men. And that's for women of color, generally speaking, black women specifically. You tie that to black women empowerment. The reason why this is even a thing is because of the bifurcation of our entire society, not just black people. Because when Asian women insult Asian men, they say, I can't date you because you look like my brother, right? And then who do you end up with? You don't end up with an Arab dude. If you're East Asian, you don't end up with a South Asian dude. You end up with a white dude, because it's everybody's trying to get to that top. So a lot of the men are trying to be white men, and a lot of women are trying to end up with white men. We're all trying to find our very interesting way. Let me finish. We all are trying to find our interesting way to justify what it really is. They took over the planet over the past 500 years, and everybody's trying to either be with them or be like them. I will direct you to the LGBTQ community, and the white dick is God over there. Okay, and I'll pause right there.
The only reason why I'm going
we're gonna have you chime in real quick, and then I got to get RBR in here next.
Okay, because I'm getting ready to get off soon. I'm sorry, y'all.
No, go ahead.
Okay, very quickly. The only reason why I will push back is because you're looking at a black man that's been around the world almost 3 times. I hate to tell you, but the Asian community rejects the white community. The Asian community loves black men. I'll tell you right now, black men go to the Philippines, he go to China, he go to Japan. He is the most respected, loved, and admired of all the races. You go to Hawaii, trust me, white people are rejected in Hawaii. So I have to push back on that particular argument. I would also say you will find just as many Asians marrying African-American men as you would find in certain areas them dealing with white men. Most Asians are more connected to the African-American community than they are to the white community. So I've seen it.
I hear what you're saying, brother, but that's not what the interracial marriage numbers say in America. I would agree with you globally. Globally, you have an argument, but in America, in Canada, in Britain, listen, and you can argue it's white majority country, and I would agree with that. But we cannot pretend like when the arguments are being made against men of color, black men specifically, it's always on some comparing to white shit, right? So I see where you're coming from, and I would tend to agree, especially globally. But in America, that's a whole different argument.
Got you. Well, ladies, I want to thank y'all so much for allowing me up. I wish I can stay longer. You know, I'm just getting back from New York. You know, thank you, Sister George, for your prayers as you know, we laid my dad to rest. So you know,
you have our deepest condolences.
Oh, no problem. Look, he was a great man, a Vietnam veteran, a retired NYPD cop. We did good. You know, it's just time for me to take the ball and move it forward. You know, that's all. That's all. But I want to thank everybody on the panel. Wealth of knowledge, wealth of information. And I will probably be back on this panel again when y'all have these great intellectual conversations.
Definitely appreciate you.
Definitely appreciated the conversation and your contribution to it. So thank you. Thank you. Definitely come back to join us.
Okay, definitely. Y'all have a good night.
You too. RBR, what you got before we go ahead and wrap it up?
Oh, okay, good. Well, thank you. Oh, shit. Am I on?
No, go ahead. We want to hear what you got.
RBR, we can hear you.
Okay, good. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I didn't see the meters jumping. Well, let me say this. As to the last conversation, I don't really agree that just because white people control 99% of the media and white people have to lie about their race being superior to all other races, that means other races are naturally attracted to them. We're attracted to people whose lies we believe. But the truth of the matter is 1% of white people control 90% of white wealth. So the white women and the white men that the black women and black men are getting have no access to the Fortune 500 wealth. What they do have access to is a white person who lives vicariously through the top wealthiest 500 families on earth that are
facts.
White. So
facts.
What you're marrying is an idea. It's a stereotype.
Say that.
So in the most populated, richest continent on earth, that would be Africa, there are 0 interracial marriages. Sister Faith Ideal, I call her the Cynthia Z. All right. Because she likes Cynthia G, but she's opposite of Cynthia G. She loves her black race and culture and rejects the myth of white supremacy. She said until she came to North America, she never experienced racism in her life.
Wow.
They had never interacted. They were like me. I grew up in Seattle.
Where's she from?
She's from Africa. I don't know what. I would think Nigeria because most of the. Yeah, I would think Nigeria, but I can't say for sure. But she had never even seen racism. They have never even interacted with white people. They're 0.3% of the African population is white. 7.8%.
That's interesting, that 0.3%. And I just saw a report that showed that the most wealthy people and the most wealthy Africans and only 2 were, I think it was most wealthy Nigerians, and only 2 were black people, and the other 7 were white. No, 6 of the other 7 were white. 1 was Asian.
Half the billionaire list for Africa is white people. I'm not playing.
Yeah, but see, they do like Ernie Els. They make a fortune playing golf and they move to Africa. I'm talking about the people.
No, they over there raping and pillaging.
No, that's not true. I mean, when you make billions,
it definitely is.
No, it's not true.
What you think they over there for? Resources.
Here's why they're over there. When you make $1 billion, me and baby been to the Bahamas. I've been there 4 times to the Bahamas. Yes, when you make $1 billion, then you can go to a exotic country with billions of dollars. Come on, you guys. There are people who made YouTube fortunes who went to go to Puerto Rico and live like kings. Why? Because on $100,000,
if you think that colonialism has not affected African nations,
it hasn't.
Like I haven't. But
you're right. No, it hasn't. But you're right. The lies of colonialism have affected Africa, just like the lies about Americans being degenerate, lazy, and all that other shit.
And they also over there stealing resources.
Yeah, well, that's not true. When you come to Africa, and this is a debate that I've had with many Africans who are lying about China did invest $50 billion in Africa. They gave them a $50 billion loan. And then President Obama, the black genius, gave them a bought $50 billion worth of resources, gold, cell phone chips, and gave South Africa money to relocate some of the farmers because the Negroes were killing the whites that took their farms. All right. They were murdering them. They had 30,000 white farmers who had stole black farms over the last 100 years during the apartheid era. And now they're down to about 10,000. So Obama gave them $50 billion to try to relocate those people instead of these Negroes killing them. And the rest of the money was investment, which is doubled or even tripled his investment. Some of the money that the Chinese loaned to them, they defaulted on. But just like with the 30% of U.S. debt that the Chinese own, if I owe you $30 billion, you're going to play nice. How come? Because you want your money. See, that China has $30 billion of U.S. debt is owned by China. So they tell him, Putin, you're on your own. How come? Because if they help Putin with the Ukraine, they can forget about that $30 billion. They'll never see it. So one of the ways that you can keep the racism at a minimum is for you to owe them money. Why? Because they want their money. Because they hate black people. I get it. I get the racism. They want their money more than they want to stick it to the racist. All right. So I will push back on the colonization if you're buying resources. Now, if you go in there killing the men and raping the women, then okay, now that's genocide.
I'm talking about the fact that they've infiltrated their government, that they take minerals from over there, that they take gold from over there, they take diamonds from over there because of their infiltration and their stealing and doing the brutal things that they've done around this globe.
Okay, well that's a lie.
Go ahead.
I'm just saying, come on, don't do that, because the misinformation is what's killing. Everybody's on here talking about white people.
You can look it up. It's not hard to find.
You can look it up too.
I've read books on it.
Okay, you read books from Fox News. Okay, listen, here's what I'm saying.
I'm not about to argue.
If you go to Africa with $50 billion, China came to America, right, with $5 trillion. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I'm not arguing with you over China. I didn't even mention China. What are you talking about?
They went to Africa with $50 billion cash, and you're calling it colonization.
I wasn't even talking about the Chinese. Go ahead and make your point.
Okay, now the South Africans came with $0 with some guns and some knives and started killing the men and raping the women. That's colonization. But if you come with trillions and billions of dollars, that's not colonization.
I never mentioned that, RBR. What's your point regarding the topic?
My point is they're not going in there and colonizing Africa because black people are inferior. That's a lie that white people to get black people to want to marry white people.
Okay, RBR, do you know what we're talking about? We're talking about black women empowerment.
We're talking about black people
any of
white
this.
people are superior. You're talking about black people who have been
nobody said
any of white supremacy. These are the sellouts, the coon ass niggas. 90%.
Come on, RBR. Don't do that.
Okay, don't tell the truth. But 90% of black people in the general population, 99.9% of black people on YouTube believe that white is superior. Okay, so yes, what you said, what Obama wrote in his book is when he was dating a white girl, he had to adopt their culture. You ain't coming into no white girl's house talking about you pro-black and you embrace your black race and culture and reject the myth of white supremacy. They ain't having it. So yes, when you think that a great race of people are lying to you, that they created African civilization 4 million years before white people existed, well, then you have to cater to whatever lie they're telling you. But we have to reject that lie. I have a battle going on with that idiot good mother. She says that racism, her argument is that racism is not racism, it's feminism. That feminism is responsible for 450 years of slavery, racism, discrimination, and oppression based on race. It's an attack on white men by feminists, not by racists, which is ridiculous and absurd. But
they love to do that because they want to claim intersectionality to say that we have the same fight we have a shared enemy and it's the white man. The white woman is innocent.
Exactly. But she's saying that we're attacking the white men, but they're really using, like with the abortion thing that's going on with Roe v. Wade. Black people, black women stopped aborting their babies in 2008 when Obama was elected. There was 500 black abortions per 1,000 live births in 2007. That's from the CDC. In 2008, there were 100 abortions for 1,000 live births, an 80% reduction in black abortions when that black genius was elected president. Them sisters was not trying to abort the next Obama. Now, 14 years later, they done overturned Roe v. Wade, and it's going to affect black and brown women the most. Bullshit. Black women stop having abortions. It's the white women who have 300 in 2019. White women had 330 abortions per 1,000 live births. Black women had 100, less than half of the black abortions as the white women. But the media is owned by who? Not black women. It's owned by white racists in the top 1%. And they are telling their commentators and Joanne Reed and them to push the lie that this will affect the people that the Republican Party hates. Poor black people, all the black people on welfare. 87% of the working poor and the people on welfare are white. 26% white Anglo, 33% white Hispanic, 26% whites from Europe, undocumented whites from Europe and Canada. 87% of the people that are on welfare are white, but they're lying to us because they hate us because we're black.
Thank you, RBR. Very interesting points. You went around the mulberry bush, but you said some straight facts. So we are actually going to start the process to shut it on down, and we'll go ahead and start with you, MGTOW Universe.
Well, that was fun to listen to. But yeah, like I said before, man. I do like the idea of black women carving out their own space. Whether I agree with it or not is irrelevant. And we'll see. I mean, I've had a bunch of videos. What's his name? I forgot his name, but he covers like a lot of that stuff in the BWE. I guess there's some sort of infighting. But yeah, as far as I lost my train of thought. I do think that those black women, for the majority, they still love black men. They just want the black men that they want. And even the video that you were referencing earlier, even that black woman, she cares about black men too. They don't care about real SA victims in those countries. They don't care. That's just, like I said, that's their hook to shame those men that goes to those countries. But yeah, thank you all again for having me. I enjoyed the conversation. Thank you, Roger Report, Mr. Z, Sister George, and concreterose, and RBR Network, and the others that was on the panel. Thank you all so much, and y'all have a good night.
Thank you, MGTOW Universe.
Absolutely. RBR, what you got in closing? What final comments do you have?
All right. Well, I just want to say to Miss Wanda, I know Obama's not president anymore, but what's his vice president doing nowadays? What's Obama's vice president?
No,
Biden. No. Obama's vice president, not
Kamala.
Biden.
Yeah, that would be the white boy that spent 8 years under the black genius learning how to govern. Stop it! How many of these white people tell you that your race ain't
That's why his administration is doing the clownery that they're doing.
No, they're not doing the clownery. You guys just bought into that damn Republican lie. These goddamn racists are superior. That's all. You guys have bought into the myth. I told you 99% of black people on black YouTube have bought into the myth of white supremacy. You're rooting for Putin and stumping for Trump. Shame on you.
And you over here rooting for Biden of all
folks? You goddamn right. I'm rooting
for the KKK member. I'm just saying, oops.
I'm a Obama crap. I'm not ashamed. I'm not ashamed
to who created the crime bill.
Biden ran for president 100 times.
Baby, let RBR go, honey, because we're gonna be up here. Let him go.
Well, Biden couldn't do a damn thing until he met that black genius who spent 8 years under him. Goddamn right. So anyway, you guys stop selling out your race, thinking white people are superior. Stop that dumb shit and join the goddamn team. And let's stop these racists from killing everybody on earth who's not white and not in the top 1%. I love you. We love our black race. We ain't selling out. We ain't aborting our babies. We ain't dating these damn racists and Nazis. All right, we black. All right, you guys have a good good evening. Thank you for checking it. I do have a channel, the RBR Network, and the RBR Network for Women. Let's do
Church.
this. All right.
Thank you, RBR.
Good night, y'all. All right.
We appreciate you. Your Obama worshiping. What would we do without it?
I black exited. I know you hate black X. You want me to talk about R. Kelly, but fuck R.
Good night.
Kelly. We talking about somebody real. It's a real brother.
Good night, RBR. Good night.
They want me to talk about OJ.
All right, RBR. We'll holler at you.
Mr.
Z, what are your final comments, brother?
Oh my God. Okay, look. I don't know what RBR was on, but back to Black women empowerment and whatever that is, Edward Anderson helped me to evolve on this, and I'm foretelling Black women to do what they think is in their best interest. Now, that doesn't mean that on my channel I won't tell you sound fucking retarded or you're being delusional, but I won't tell you not to do it, right? And I evolved on that, right? And that's the same way I am with the divesting thing being part of the Black women empowerment thing. I will still tell you you're retarded and it ain't gonna work, but I won't try to stop you. And that wasn't gonna be a thing anyway. There was no way of, and even if I could, I wouldn't, right? Black women empowerment to me, like I said earlier, is just it's the bifurcation of our society. It's how Black women engage with individuality. It's how Black women engage with wanting to do their own thing and practice negative liberty. This is Black women engaging with, I don't want to be told what to do. I want the best of every aspect of life. Even if those things conflict with each other. Do I think that most Black women that you would speak to would be able to articulate it the way I am? Probably not. But if you sit down with them long enough, what they will show you is that they don't know what the hell they're talking about. And half of the things they want conflict with the other half of the things they want, right? So that's what Black women empowerment looks like. The reason why it sounds confusing is because it is confusing. And like I said before, they're trying to put this under one big tent when it's a bunch of different moving parts. And a lot of this it's not gonna come to fruition because it makes no sense. And their delusion when it comes out in the real world and it hits the wall of reality, and the fact that men aren't trying to be these weird cleanup men or supermen that you want them to be, when that cold hard reality hits, you're going to see them shatter. You're going to see them on antidepressants, if you don't already see them on antidepressants. And Black women empowerment is a thing. Let's give it another 5 years and see if we're still talking about it then. And I'll end it with that. Thank you, ladies, for having me up. What's going on, Raj? And I'll holler at y'all later.
Thank you, Mr. C. Definitely appreciated you. You ain't even triggered me today. It must be a good day. Thank you for joining us and adding to the conversation.
Salute, Mr. Z. Salute.
Have a good one.
Okay, well, I guess I can give my little final ones. Okay, when it comes down to it, again, divestors don't matter. They're a small group of a small group, because there's been people who've dated interracially, but don't absolutely hate the men that they come from. Divestors are the group that actually hates the men that they come from. Don't nobody care. Ain't nobody got time to care about them. I know they want to be cared about, but ain't nobody got time for it. You don't matter at the end of the day. You just don't matter. Okay? So that's my message to divestors. You don't matter. And if you could date a white man and get a white man, knock yourself out. I'm not concerned. Okay? And I don't think no other man really should be. When it comes to Black women's empowerment, when I see Black women's empowerment, I see a bunch of women trying to do whole stuff. You know what I'm saying? They claim Black women's empowerment, and they dress in next to nothing. They talking about being able to go out and have a bunch of sexual partners. I don't see anything when it comes to actual empowerment of Black women. Now, there is something that Black women have already done that you can actually slide under Black women's empowerment, because Black women, practice white supremacy. And when they do stuff like they get into a job and they hire a bunch of other Black women, and instead of hiring men and women, that's actual empowerment. That's helping somebody do something that matters at the end of the day. Now, the only issue with that is they do that to go against black men. They'll hire other people here and there, but usually they won't hire a black man. So, well, unless you're gay. If you're gay, you can get hired. You ain't got to worry about it. If you're a gay black man, you straight. You know what I'm saying? So that's the only empowering they've ever done is to hire folks when they get into human resources department. Outside of that, there's nothing they're doing when it comes to empowerment. They're just people who talking nonsense, and they're trying to make people care that they're hoes. And they want men to accept that they're hoes. And why should we? There's no good reason to. So they can stay on that mountaintop and scream as long as they want. But that's just people trying to get men to act a certain way. When it comes to relationships, whether women like it or not, men are the standard. If we don't pick you, it's a problem for you, because we're always going to measure women based on the man they with. That's not going to change. Jesus coming back first. And when it comes down to it, we're never going to base from a societal standpoint, which has been disrupted in the black community, but eventually it's going to get back with us too. Well, I can't even say back for this group. It'll get there. We're always going to measure men outside of women. The man you are has nothing to do with the woman you pick. But the woman gets a man, and we always going to measure her by that man. If you single, we know it's because of you. If you got a man that's no good, we know it's because you no good. Just is what it is. You're always going to be measured by your man. And women going to do that too, and they're gonna perpetuate it too. So it's not about to change. And I'm going to leave it there. Y'all have a good night.
Well, thank you, Roger.
Yeah, thank you, Roger. Definitely appreciate you. You said some interesting things, one of which I have a rebuttal for in my final comments.
Roger's gone.
Yeah. Huh?
He gone.
I know. I'm hoping he's listening. Clearly, I know he gone.
I didn't know if he was looking at the screen.
No, I'm looking at it. Yeah, I saw him drop down. But I just wanted to say that I think that people are measured by their partners. I think that men are looked upon, and judged by who they partner with too. If you have a loud, disrespectful woman, your counterparts are going to look at you sideways and be like, damn, this man doesn't respect himself. In addition, us as women, men don't seem to realize this, but us as women, when we see that you with a bum chick, that actually decreases your value. If you with someone that we as women see as less than us, then that literally decreases your value. But if you're with someone who we see like, damn, she's a baddie, then your value increases for women. So, you are judged by who you partner with, even if you're a man. That's not just something for women. I forgot who I was talking about for a second when I was going back and forth with RBR and got caught up in the moment. But just really quickly, colonization definitely has taken place over this entire globe. Africa was not missed in that. Colonization of Africa started back in the 1800s, and European nations colonized Africa. As it relates to the topic, this was a real dope conversation, very interesting. I didn't anticipate it going the way in which it went, but it was still interesting nonetheless, and some very good conversations surrounding the talking points. So yeah, thank you for everybody who joined us.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for everything, and we will see you guys back on the next one. We're out.
Peace.
Oh, and shout out to Kit Cloud for the Cash
definitely.
App.
What was it? He actually had a oh gosh, I'm glad you remembered that. Oh, he was saying that empowerment is a meaningless word. We gonna agree to disagree. But thank you, Kit Clouds.
All right, y'all. We'll see y'all on the next one.
Peace.